I'm vengeance.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Mark 129 of the Super Civil Servants podcast, and I'm gonna have to go back and check, but I think I fucking nailed that one. We're gonna see. uh, Folks, I gotta tell you, today, amber is the color of my energy, and if you get that reference, we can hang together. Just saying, we can hang together. That's all I'm saying. But we got a huge show tonight. A lot of stuff to talk about. Special guests. A lot of things going on. I'm going to get things going. Introduce the co-host of this show, my homeboy, my A Spoon Coon here. Ross, what's up, buddy?
Not much. Long week, super tired, ready to just talk some stuff.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We've got a lot to talk about as well. Sarah's joining us as well. How you doing, Sarah?
I'm doing well. I'm so glad it's Friday.
Yeah.
Yay. I got lots stuff to geek about.
Well, I'm so glad y'all got me into Picard because I am really enjoying that so far. 2 episodes in, and I'm hooked. Let me tell you. But special guest tonight, Laurie. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
And Laurie, I'm not going to lie, I didn't say your last name because I didn't want to butcher it and I didn't want to mispronounce it. So you can say your last name if you want to. I meant to ask you before we started going how you pronounced it, but I forgot to. So
it's Calcaterra.
Okay.
Have you seen The Peacemaker?
Exactly
Have you seen The
like
Peacemaker?
It looks. Okay. Yes.
You watch The
Definitely
Peacemaker?
Yes.
There's a couple called the Calcaterras in The Peacemaker.
There you go. Claim to fame. I would take that.
I was like, I'm in there. It's awesome. I was drinking a drink and I just about choked on it. I was like, what the? Like, there I am.
Very good. Well, all right. Well, let's get things going tonight. We got a lot of things to talk about. Once again, Picard is what we're following this weekly. This as of right now. Finally got an Obi Wan trailer, which we're going to talk about. The Boys Diabolical, which I watched the whole first season, was absolutely phenomenal. And then Laurie is on here tonight to talk about her comic, Path of the Pale Rider. So we're going to get things going. And Laurie, we're going to start with your comic. So
excellent.
I just want to say you sent us some photos of the comic. I'm going to go ahead and load those up while we talk. But before we get going, just give us an introduction to who you are, what you're doing, and give us a little elevator pitch for Path of the Pale Rider.
Okie dokie. Well, Path of the Pale Rider, I mean, I'm an indie comic writer, right? I had this idea for the comic back in 2018, started writing, developed the story, finally got enough nerve to like let people read the script. And I didn't know what to do with it, right? It's like, I have this story. What do you do? When I wrote it, I kind of saw it as a screenplay because that's where my background is I come from like production. And when my husband read it, he was like, this is a comic book. And it's like, light bulb turned on and was like, yes, it is. So started developing it about 2020 and started reaching out to different artists. That's a cover. Ooh, where'd it go?
Yeah, it was messed up. Let me try it again. I don't know why.
So I've had a few different artists working on it. The artist that I have now is fabulous. His name is Marco DeFillo. So he took over as the head of art department. And so like this is a variant cover by a friend of mine named Everett Watkins, who's also an indie comic creator. He writes a comic book called Boog, which is I think it's published. I'll have to check with Everett on that. But so he did this cover for me. It's beautiful. It reminds me more of like the Clint Eastwood, Good, Bad, and the Ugly kind of vibe to it. So with the smoking gun in the background. So he did great. That's getting a lot of buzz. What else you got?
Let's see. Let's check out this cover
This
right here.
one. Okay, so in my world, the dead don't die. But so we have zombies, but they're different. They're different than most zombies. So in my world, like the death process is broken where the body dies, but the soul is stuck in the body. And you slowly start to decay and all the things that go with like a decaying brain. So I kind of modeled the undead after, not zombies, after dementia. Okay, so they can get forgetful. They can be stuck in an emotion. They, someone that was normal could end up being violent. And this isn't just for humans. This is for animals, insects, plants. Nothing dies. Okay, so we have a whole lot of problems that happen on this earth because we're all stuck here together, living in undead. So this is actually the big antagonist in episode 1 is this bear who I lovingly named Big James.
Ah.
So
The artwork's beautiful.
yeah,
see
that
that
one was
there.
done by Jose Martinez.
Okay. And then one more cover here.
Okay, so this is actually the back cover, and I did this myself. So part of every comic, I have a couple different things that are happening. So we have the main story that follows our protagonist Jude St. Clair through the apocalypse. He's looking for the answer. So he has this journal that he writes in, and there's 101 conspiracy theories about what caused this. And he's been traveling all over the United States looking for answers, interviewing people. So that comic book follows the main story, but the world is so big that on top of that, I decided we're going to explore some of the other things that are happening with some short films. So this isn't a part of the short film, but if you go to my Kickstarter page, you're going to see our short film when we go live. So we're actually exploring like a commercial for the undead retirement community in that short film. And then the third thing that I have is Easter eggs and scavenger hunts that are built into the real world. So this is going to be printed on the back cover of the episode 1. And you have to figure it out. It takes you someplace.
Okay.
If
that.
you look at it, it says search and you will find. So you have to search.
So now you got me looking at it.
And you will
Even
find.
deeper. Yeah. So now you got to look at it. But that's a good way to go. I like that. Dang it, I had a direction I wanted to go right over that, but I forgot what I was going with it. So you got me
Well,
searching now.
if you go look at some of my social media, I've actually mentioned what this is in some of my other social media. So if you go
Okay.
look at some of the stuff that I've posted, you'll figure it out.
Okay. Good deal.
But I don't want to. I don't
Um,
want to spoil it.
No, definitely. You want people to check it out and figure out themselves.
Yeah.
Look at that. Okay. Well, I'm just gonna start posting up some of the artwork you
Oh,
gave us.
start at the other
Send
side.
us
I
some
think that's
Oh,
that's
other
that looks
side?
like the
Okay.
end.
Yeah. Here we go. Oops, sorry. And Ross, Sarah, I shared these stuff with you. Can I get some of y'all's thoughts on the stuff you saw here? Whoever wants to start first.
I love the concept. Now that you bring up how you're talking about the concept of death in this,
Yeah.
really transformed where my mind even went just looking at the pictures. I
Yeah.
remember, like, I've seen so many different iterations of how zombie-like life can be.
Mhm.
There was that real like made for tween movie that came out forever ago, and like the whole idea of the zombie was like he was stuck in some place, and this sounds like that, but like for adults. And I really,
Yeah.
when you were describing it, it was just like clicking in my brain. I'm like, that it's such an in between world to be stuck in.
Hmm.
Yeah.
To
It's really
have,
hard.
yeah, I don't even know how you come up with that. I mean, that's a fantastic idea.
Thank you. But I
It's a
mean, if
world
you
nobody
think about it,
explains.
yeah, if you
Sorry, go.
think about all the troubles that these people have, so food, right? Do you eat meat?
I do.
I eat meat. What happens if your food supply no longer can be butchered? Let's say,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? You go to do what you need to do to slaughter a cow, a pig, and it's still active. How do you butcher an animal that is still protesting,
At
right?
what point? At what point does it? I mean, I don't want to get too super technical, but at what
Yeah,
point? At what point does death occur in the world that you've created? If
it
it doesn't
doesn't,
occur, period, then I mean, are we really like
period.
walking around with headless people who have
Yes.
really tried to take that point of their life? So,
So
or
no
some
Yeah,
end to
that's
life.
there is no end to life. Something has happened that has broken that process. So you can be, I mean, in traditional zombie films, which I'm obviously a big fan of because this is the genre I chose, right? You take out the brain, it stops them completely, right? So you have to take out the head or you got to take them out in the neck. I've seen some South Korean movies where it's like in the neck, right? No, there's no escape. There is none. So it's like this existential horror of being stuck in this decaying body on top of, everything else that's going around. So no food, and then, once you become undead and you become predictable, then we have the whole issue of society. Does it start to break down? I don't want to give away too much in the book, but things start to break down, right? If you look at my character, he's wearing something that's called a disc. So these are government issued devices where if you tap them, it actually beats with your heart. And if you die, it turns red and it flatlines. So it's another way for them to kind of like be able to tap it and see if you're alive or not. But again, this is technology. Can you hack it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Can't check anything.
yeah, but that's the point. It's like I kind of base this, what would really happen in the real world. So if there's technology, do we hack it? Do we have designer versions of it? Yeah, and this is his prince. This is his horse, Prince, and she's amazing. It's kind of his Roach. If you follow
Okay.
The Witcher, this is his Roach.
A character in
he's
its
by
own in the
himself.
story,
Yeah, he's by himself with this horse, and it's like if you read the 8 pages, they have this whole conversation, the two of them.
Well, so I wanted to ask with the artwork here, is this
Yeah.
the finalized artwork? Is the comic black and white?
Right now it's black and white.
Okay.
I have a stretch goal for color. So
Okay.
if we can meet, my whole thing is I want to get the story out there and I want people to see this art. If we can raise enough money, then yes, we will do it in color. Marco will do it, and he would love to do it.
Okay.
But my goal is make sure it's out first.
I understand that. I was gonna say I like the black and white, to be honest.
Yeah,
with you.
I kind of like that too.
Yeah.
I think it
For
adds to
me,
it.
that's cool with comics. I really like, and it fits with this aesthetic or this story, at least for me. So I was really enjoying that. Whenever I got it, I was like, okay, cool. Here we go. It puts me in a different mindset, I guess. Whenever I don't see the
Yeah.
color, I'm not sure why, but I really enjoyed it.
You kind of fill in the blanks, you
Mhm.
know? Reminds me more of like Walking Dead comics. They are all black white right now. I think they went back and they did a deluxe version where they colored them all, but if you read if you're a fan like I am from the beginning, then they're all black and white. So
Yeah.
then you really get the color. So here's where you first encounter like your first zombie. So he's on this path on a cliff. It's really a terrible place to be.
Yeah.
Like cliff on one side, cliff going up the other way. Roads all falling apart, rocks are falling down. They decide to go forward because there's something that he's looking for on the other side of this road. And then they come across this hand sticking out from the boulder. And it's like, what is this?
Well, I want to ask you what the symbolism is with the glass here.
I can't say.
Okay, I got
Okay,
to read
all
to
right.
find out.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, there is
Okay.
a meaning behind it, and you do find out what it is later on. But Jude is also, he's kind of a romantic, and since he's been around since before the apocalypse started, he's kind of reminiscent about that time. So anytime he can find something that reminds him of better times, he wants that stuff. So
Right.
almost like a pack rat, So he
Okay.
finds this glass, and there is a double meaning to this, and that's you got to really read my comics. I put a lot of things in it that it's like you're gonna get 3 and 4 episodes in and be like, wait a minute, she put that in already, or I already know that, or I saw that character. So
That's
callback.
the sign of good writing right there. The good callback. I agree. Whenever you get that, or I get that in a movie, I'm like, oh yeah, I like that. And then there we go again. I see the glass. I think we actually already seen this slide. I
Yeah.
downloaded. I think I downloaded
A couple
everything yet
times.
twice. So, we can just roll through all these. But Sarah, did you have any thoughts you wanted to express about this, or anything you want to say?
I mean, I thought it was pretty. I mean, I think it's pretty cool. Like I said, I like the black and white. I mean, I can kind of say it's like I don't read a lot of comics, but the ones that I do read, I mean, I just kind of get lost in the story. So I love the fact that you've given some of these excerpts. So I would really can't wait to read the whole book.
Yeah.
But
Episode
especially
8.
I know, but I love the fact that it looks like he has a relationship. Like his horse is like his friend. That kind of thing. I love those kind of
Yeah.
relationships. because especially if it's like apocalyptic type setting, I mean, you got to have somebody there for you to kind of keep your sanity.
Yes.
So I think that's
Yeah.
really cool. That's really cool. So I'm like really digging the way it looks like it's going. So kudos.
Yeah, I love the way that Marco drew this. He's risking his life for this stupid glass. Like, and of course, in another really important thing about this world is sound, and that's one of our challenges as a 2D medium, right? There is
Hmm.
no sound, but trying to communicate, like he puts shoes on the hooves, right? So they don't
Mhm.
make any noise. He knows what dead bear means, but do my readers know? Do my readers know that there's a zombie bear at the end of this road? If he comes across a carcass, why is he so afraid of this carcass? So, if you read this, it's like all these crows are heading down this road. Of course, I threw in the Star Wars reference. I have a bad feeling about this. Um, and they go around this corner, and there's this massive bear that's dead and blocking the entire road. But if you just look, and like I'm also a big horror fan, so I wanted to see like the birds eating the bear and like all the grotesquerie that goes along with this zombie apocalypse world. So I enjoy all that stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I wanted to ask too, as a creator, you write this story and you have an artist who puts it on, puts the image on paper. Whenever you've written the story, do you give him an idea of what you want it to look like, or do you let him just read and create what he feels, and then after that, you guys kind of approve or disapprove or whatever? Like, is it more of an artist image of what you've painted in his mind, or is it something you've directed him to do?
Okay, so the two of us really have a good work relationship. So first
Okay.
thing that we do is we read the script together. So we read through the whole episode. We talk about what's really important in the episode. You know, um, the bear is obviously a huge thing in this episode, and we talk about some design, but mostly I give him artistic freedom to
Okay.
interpret what he reads, and he turns out beautiful work like this.
Okay.
And then a lot of times he has his own creative process where he'll do like thumbnails and sketches, and then he slowly refines it into this. And then I'm there through the process, looking and like giving my opinion, but really he's the one that creates this world that I see. And it's so amazing to see someone interpret what you've written on a page as words into something visual. So
Oh
I
yeah.
am so thankful that I have him. He does great work.
Well, it speaks really well to one, his creative mind based on what he can
Yeah.
read and put on paper and what he sees, and two, how well you can storytell. Because
Yeah.
if you can't, if you're not telling a good story, then it's hard to imagine what you're reading.
Right.
So whenever you see this, you say it's more his creative freedom, like based on your mind when you're writing it. Is this
Yes.
close to what it looks like in your mind?
It's absolutely what it looks like in my
Nice.
mind.
Okay.
So this
Yeah.
is the
The
question.
cliff, how dilapidated the infrastructure is. There was that page where he and Prince were having the conversation and how he's looking up at her and like just, has his hand on her neck while they communicate. It's just that he can see the relationship that I wrote. I mean, this bear is gnarly. I mean, I'm always like, I always make sure he knows, like, you can get as gory as you want with this. Like, I'm cool with it. Like, this is obviously for adults. This is not for, youngins. So
Mhm.
be as descriptive and as gross as you want to be. And if you get to that last page with the bear, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that bear got me. I was like, whoa.
Yeah,
Right. Three of the same one in the row. I guess that was where I'll just go to spit.
there he is.
I think, yeah, all those the
It's a
same.
splash page. I can see it. Yeah,
Oh, I love a good splash page. Oh, that is nice.
that's a great one. So you see the bear, you see the oh shit look on Jude. You know, so you can see it's disked really well there too. So
Mhm.
it's good. It's good. It's great. I love it.
Well, Laura, that is really awesome. You've given us a good little bite of the drumstick
Mhm.
here. Makes me want to come
Mm.
back for more. Makes me want to learn more about this comic. And how far into this series are you? I mean, I'm not
This
sure
is
what
episode one.
this is
This is
episode one.
episode one.
Okay.
Now I have written the whole first arc. So if we were talking like a Amazon Prime series, right? It would be the first arc is 13 episodes. So they're all written, they're all done. It's like now we're gonna start pumping them out through Kickstarter. So this one goes live on April 15th. I sent you all the social media links and the link to the Kickstarter. But we're on the Facebook group that I have, Path of the Pale Rider. That's kind of my baby.
Okay.
So if you want to know more about the project, go to Facebook, search Path of the Pale Rider, and join, and I'll approve you to come in. But that's really the first place where I dump all my stuff. Like if I have something new to announce, that's what gets it first. But we have an Instagram, I have a Twitter, we have a TikTok, I have a webpage. So we're out there. I just want to make sure people know how to find us and make sure that they know to follow us on Kickstarter. You can have a remind me. The link. I have the link shared in the Facebook group, so you can actually click on that, and we'll take you to the Kickstarter page where you can click on the little reminder, and when we go live, it'll email you. So we got a lot of different levels. You can see the short film there. The future short films are really cool. They're going to be interactive.
Oh, nice.
So readers will be able to participate. So when we release the Kickstarter for episode 2, you'd be able to go on and see the short film, and you could actually be a part of it.
Very nice. Interaction
So.
is always fun with fans. So.
Yeah.
Knowing all that stuff you have and Facebook being your baby and kind of your main source for all this stuff you're going to put on there makes me miss Facebook, but it's about the only thing I miss about Facebook is being able to see things like that. Other than that, don't miss Facebook at all. But I will include every link that you have to, Twitter, Facebook, everything you have in there. I'll include all that in the show notes. Folks, go check this out for sure. Donate to the Kickstarter campaign. We're looking for a goal to see it in color, but even if it's not in color, it's pretty damn amazing anyway. Like I would buy a copy just the way it is. So. And
then we have the different variants. So those are the 2 variants that are done. There's a third one in the works by another artist that has been part of the project named David Rodriguez. And then of course Marco's cover is going to knock your socks off too. He's working on that one. So I'll release those when those are done. Just building up speed to when we actually go live. But yeah, we're just like fine tuning stretch goals and stuff like that at this point. It's ready to go. We're ready. So I'm looking forward to having it go live and have it be real and have a copy in my hands. And
well, I see success in the future just based on what I've seen. So it's like a great story. But,
I appreciate that.
Sarah Ross, any last thoughts you want to have before we can include the contact information in this and move on?
Make sure you let me join your group.
Oh yeah. I'll make sure you're in.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Another female nerd, you're coming in.
Yes.
How many levels are you actually looking at for your Kickstarter? Like, what are your backing options going to be?
We have about 12 levels. Most of them are we have the PDF level, I think is like $10, and we're pretty reasonable. A physical copy plus the PDF is $15, and that's for a physical copy of any one of the comics. So the original one with Marco, and then if you want a variant, those are all $15. We start going up when you want additional copies. Like some of my friends are like, okay, Laurie, that's great. We want you to sign a copy and we want to put it on a shelf. And then I want to read another copy. So when I put my fingerprints on it, I'm not, messing up the one with your signature on it. Right. So then we start getting into multiple copies. I start throwing in merch. We have an early bird special one that's $15 that I'm running a limited edition sticker. So we're going to run a different sticker every episode. So, so there's only 50 of those. So if you want a sticker, you got to get in there and get it before everybody else does. So we have keychains. Part of the short film, there's a riot scene. And my rioters are wearing these arm patches. And there's a picture of a disc. And they're protesting the disc. So they're undead and undead sympathizers together. Okay. And the patches say, dead outside, still human inside. And so there's a big line through the disc. It's an interesting short film. You'll get to see It's a real serene, like commercial for it looks like for a retirement community, and it's interspliced with these violent images of riots and like what the real world is going through at that time. So I have those patches as one of the reward goals. So you can get either just a patch or like there's ones that were actually worn in the shoot. So I have those on there as well. Of course, we have t-shirts. We got all the good merch. And then we start bundling things like I think at $75 you can get 4 copies. So you get one with each different type of cover. The highest level we have is $100, but you can always, I mean, like if you're feeling super generous and you want to give us more than $100, God bless you. And you can do that. All you have to do is like choose the $100 one so you get everything in the bag of chips that I throw in there. But you can just tag on as much money as you want. But like $100, you get all the merch, you get all the stuff, and everything is like signed and lovely. And Marco will draw your likeness into a future episode. So we call that one immortality, right? Because you are now immortal because you're in the comic. So you can see your pretty
Another
face.
interactive angle.
I know. I
awesome
love
selling point.
interaction.
Yeah.
But no guarantees that we don't kill you off immediately because that's kind of my humor is like, oh, look, there's Ross. Oh, Ross is dead.
But is he though?
So-
But is he exactly?
Oh, but you're not. You get to stand up with your no head and wander around eternity with no head. Or you can
Right.
carry your head with
Just
you.
carry it
I mean,
around,
that works
yeah.
too.
Sometimes I feel like I live like that, so it's okay.
So
Oh,
yeah.
Laura,
And
I
then the
love
riddles
the
are going to be
ideas.
hard. The riddles will be hard after this one. This one, you'll be able to figure it out. This one is easy. After that, they
the,
get
the one on
hard.
the back cover.
The one on the back cover is easy.
Okay.
I did a test run with somebody and they were like, oh, it's this. And I'm like, amen, sister, you got it. So it's
Yes,
there.
we like riddles. We like riddles.
Yeah. And then the riddles will actually lead to different places. And I could be sending you things in the mail. There's additional content that I'm going to be producing that is just for the people that solve the riddles.
Mm.
See,
So-
riddles are like Wheel of Fortune or Jeopardy or the lottery for me. Like, I don't win
No.
much, but every once in a while you get that one and you're like, oh, I got it. There you go. I can
Yeah.
do this. And it keeps you in
Yeah.
it to keep going. But but I like to try to figure out riddles.
Oh, come on. You could do it. I mean, I'm just
sure I
like,
probably
we're going to
could
have
if I
like
thought hard
Morse
enough.
code and invisible ink and QR codes and red reveal. And I got all sorts of ciphers and things. And it's like, you're going to have to do a little bit to get there. But once you figure out which way to solve it, you'll be able to solve it.
I got you.
It's like comic books of old.
Yeah, with
like
the 3D
little
glasses. And I love comic books. I do.
I
I read
tend
a
to
lot
not
of
do any
image.
reading. Yeah.
Yeah.
I read a lot of Image too. Like I found that when I go to the comic book store, I buy DC, I buy Image, and God, what's the other? I can't remember. But I'm just saying. What I'm saying is, I try
Vertigo?
not to, but I don't buy it. Yeah, Vertigo. But I try not.
Vertigo
I
and
don't buy
Dark
any
Horse
Marvel.
are good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know
I
what's
just
funny? I
don't
love
buy any
Marvel movies.
anymore.
I
Yeah.
don't either. Marvel movies and DC Comics. That's kind of where I live.
Thank you. Yes, that's exactly
Um,
right. That's exactly right. I don't know what it is, but when I go there, I'll look at the whole Marvel section. I'll be like, and then variant, all this stuff. It's there, Image. So, all right, cool. Well, Lori, I will include all this stuff in the links
Cool.
for the show notes.
Thank you.
I recommend everybody check it out. If I buy a $15 copy, can you throw an autograph on there for me?
I think you got to go up to 25.
I don't know, I'm
do
interested
that.
in the
For
in
an
the
autograph?
because I can be a
Look,
character.
Greg, we could make an exception for you. Yeah.
I
yeah.
hear you. I mount comics on the walls like that. So bam.
Oh yeah,
autograph
yeah. We'll
on the
make sure you
wall.
get one for your wall.
Good deal. Good deal. I would
Absolutely.
love to have a copy of it. But seriously, I'll put all the stuff in the information or all the information to contact you or to check the comic book out in the chat, the Kickstarter information. Highly recommend it, folks. Lori has done a great job with this, and I am happy to help you promote it because it's
Thank
a
you.
great piece of work. So,
Thank you.
well, Lori, you're going to stay with us for a while. Do you all
Yeah,
want
for a little
to
bit if I
continue
can.
talking? You're a big Star
Yeah.
Wars fan, right?
Yes.
We've had some big Star Wars news. I know when I was talking to you through email this week, I was talking about the leaked Obi Wan pictures, and then the next day, the Obi Wan trailer comes out.
Yeah.
So I'm going to play the Obi Wan trailer, and we're going to talk about it. And I have a secret for everybody. This has been
Dude.
so difficult for me. I haven't watched the Obi Wan trailer yet.
Oh,
I have
You're
not
in for a
watched it yet.
treat.
Ross,
I have
are you
not watched it.
surprised? I mean,
I've
hello.
heard.
I mean,
I've
you
heard
just want a
amazing
live
things.
reaction.
It's
I mean,
exactly what it was. I've heard amazing things, and I knew it was going to be good. He is, if you've seen me podcast, my favorite character in Star Wars. Super excited for the show, but I wanted a live reaction whenever we were on the show to watch it. I know it's going to be great, so I'm going to pull it up right quick. We'll watch it. We'll talk about it. I'm not going to have the volume up very loud because I definitely don't want this, stream to be shut down. But let me see real quick. So, just initial thoughts in while I pull it up. Ross, I'll start with you, man. You've been clamoring for Obi Wan content. We haven't gotten anything. We finally get a trailer. Did you know this was coming, or was it a surprise for you?
well, I knew that EW was going to drop their pictures. I knew the timeline that they were already trying to promote. I figured that we were going to get it immediately afterwards because it just kind of normally goes hand in hand. Normally they start to release content, they give us a little bit, they give us a little bit more, and they give us a little bit more, and it happens normally within like a couple hours span. Because once it's out there, it's out there.
Right.
I don't know how many hours it took. I was busy most of the day, and so when like it dropped, I was already like an hour or two behind it, and I'm like, well, I figured it was going to come out like this morning. I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, I get to see Space Jesus back again. I want my Obi Wan. I wanted to see him. I got to see him. It wasn't too much, and that's what I wanted. I wanted just to get a glimpse into the show, what it was going to do. When I got the pictures, I was like, the pictures are fantastic. Like, I don't even know what they're going to give me for a trailer. It was enough to quench my thirst, I guess be the best way to put it. And after that, I was like, okay, I'll rewatch it again, but I kind of don't want to see like a whole lot more. So
I do.
I do when the show comes out. I want to see it all, but I don't want to see too much just because I just have something about, I don't know, lately much anymore. We talk about this quite a bit. I kind of just want to be surprised. I don't want to go into it knowing too much.
The element of surprise is nice to have going in. It also helps you not have expectations based on what you've seen. So, and that for me at least helps me not be disappointed, because I feel like if there's something I'm expecting, even if they give me something good, if it wasn't what I was expecting, I'm disappointed. Whereas if they give me something good and I was expecting nothing, it's just good.
Yep.
So, Sarah, before I start the trailer, any thoughts?
Well, the whole thing is like, especially hearing about, I want to see how Hayden Christensen's going to play into this, because Revenge of the Sith is like one of my favorite ones of like the whole series. And just to see, especially seeing those Inquisitors, because, if I had not watched, anything previous to this, I wouldn't know what in the hell it was.
There's Inquisitors?
Yeah, I was going to say, he hasn't seen it.
I'm sorry. I'm like, I'm going to
you're
get you,
good.
Greg.
You're
I'm going to
good.
get you.
It's your own fault, Greg.
No,
It's
it
your
is
own
my
fault.
We should have watched it. Let's just
No,
watch
I
it.
don't. I'm not spoiled by any means. I'm just like, I got excited. I was like, oh.
But thinking about it, it's like all the elements that they're putting into it. I think it's really, really cool. It's really interesting how it's taken a lot of other, I guess, shows and whatnot you've watched before, like Clone Wars and Rebels, that kind of stuff. I'm loving how it, well, not really that, but, with Clone Wars, especially how it's like incorporating a lot of live action that you really didn't think of before. So, and I've always been one to where, I like seeing the progressive stories, but I always like seeing the backstories as well. And that's why I'm so excited about the Obi Wan, because it's like, you got this chunk of time and you're actually going to go in and see what he's done, between this point to this point. And that's what I'm always fascinated with. I mean, it's always like, what happened? Where have you been? What have you been doing, to get to this point? So yeah, I'm like super stoked about that. I'm like super stoked, but I don't really want to see anymore. This trailer, I'm done. Just give me.
We're going to get at least one more.
I know,
it's gonna happen.
and I'm going to sop it up like a biscuit. But still, I'm like, just give me the damn show. We have been waiting. We've heard about this for so long. When was the first time we actually heard about the possibility of Obi-Wan show?
It feels like The Rock and Black Adam, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like,
it feels like that long.
Shut up. It's like show it, show the goods, show the goods.
So Nathan says he
Nope.
wasn't deep on the Boba Fett trailers, trailers and leaks, which is what we're talking about now, but wasn't big on the first 4 episodes. They still sucked, he says. I wouldn't say they sucked, but I was not as big of a fan of Boba Fett as I was Mando. And honestly, the Boba Fett show didn't get good to me until it became Mando season 3. So, or 2.5. Not saying that Boba Fett wasn't, a good show, but it just wasn't. It didn't blow me away like Mando did. It didn't blow me away like I'm expecting Obi Wan to. But
I'm gonna tell you something about that though, and that is we talked about this. When you have that conversation of characters that people already have their headcanon about going into, it
Right.
causes a problem.
Mhm.
And so a lot of people already felt like they already knew everything about Boba Fett simply because they lived with it ever since they watched him fall into the Sarlacc pit. Same thing you said when we first watched that episode. This, and this have to happen in order for this show to work for you.
Mhm.
What do you
And
need
they
to
did.
happen for Kenobi to work for you?
It just to be on.
See, and that's the difference.
Just be on.
That right there is the
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah.
Like everyone had so much weight with Boba Fett, and Kenobi is a little bit different. I didn't know what we were going to get. I'm happy that he's not sitting there whittling on the front porch with his lightsaber. I wanted to see more action. We knew that we were going to get action. So with what we have seen in the trailer, I don't need to know a crazy amount more.
Right.
But I will watch, because this is only a teaser trailer. I will watch like the first trailer, but I'm going to tell you, this thing comes out like the end of May, I think, the
Not
25th
too
of
far
May.
from now, yeah.
So I mean, like, I know they're going to like gauge their trailers as time goes on, but at the same time, I don't need TV spots because it's only supposed to be, I think it's only supposed to be 6 episodes. And so if that's the
What?
case, yeah, I mean, real short, but you know what? Think about it. We could have got an Obi Wan movie.
Movie,
And
which
that
is
only
2
would have
hours,
been,
right?
yeah,
Good
like
point.
3 episodes maybe, or depending on.
Very good.
So
point.
if this really works out, we get 6 episodes, which is essentially possibly 3 movies.
Mm.
I don't know the length. I don't know the runtime. So
Okay.
we'll have to see.
Well, Laurie, give me some initial thoughts, and then we'll start playing it, and we'll talk about it as it goes.
I'm the opposite of all of you. When I see a trailer, I like immediately go online. I look at all the blogs. I want to know everything. Okay.
Okay.
And what cracks me up is like all the blogs that are talking about the stuff that was released, every single one of them, the first thing it says, well, hello there.
Mhm.
So I was like, come on, really? So like, yeah, every time you go and you look up, but I was really interested in one of the characters. I'm not going to say which one. It looks like it's a newer one. And so I did a bunch of research to see if they existed in canon or not. And speaking of Inquisitors, I was like, I need to refresh my memory how they work. So I went and researched like all the Inquisitors, and I have some thoughts about them and what's in the trailer. I don't want to say until after you watch it because I don't want to spoil it.
Well,
Let's just watch it.
Yeah, let's do it then. Let's go ahead and watch it. That way we can talk about whatever we want to. Just spill the whole pile
Spill
of
the beans.
I guess. Yeah. Here we go. Sure. Let's see. And I'll turn the sound on. We'll keep it a little low. Oh, come on. Of course. All right. So yeah, that's why I haven't said anything about the Obi Wan trailer in the last 2 days, y'all.
That's why I kept my mouth shut.
And it's just a perfect casting too. I'm sorry, Ewan McGregor's just a perfect casting for this role.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna pick someone else at this
Look,
point.
you see what I'm saying? Right there, the binoculars.
Oh,
They're always messed up in Star Wars. There's never a clear vision of it through the binoculars in Star Wars. It's always messed up.
Just gonna gloss over the fact of watching Luke.
Right.
It was really fun, like watching, somebody like doing the breakdown of these trailers. It was for this. It was like really interesting.
Where are they going?
Oh.
This lady.
People being hanged in the streets, huh? Is that the same guy who played Uncle Owen in the?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Joel Edgerton.
I know it's like when it's people like
that's
all
who
like
that
in awe.
I mean,
Well, he hasn't watched it yet, so he's kind of, you don't want to,
Say
you
anything.
just
Give me
want
a
to be like,
second.
take in the visuals.
I'm soaking it all up.
It's good seeing Obi Wan again though.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, here's the thing. After seeing that, I don't need to see anything else either.
I
Like,
told you.
I'm the same way as y'all. If they give me more, of course I'll watch it. And that was a minute 46 teaser. We're gonna get a 2.5 minute trailer, I'm sure, which is gonna probably be a minute 46 of that 2.5 minutes is gonna be this. So we're gonna get like a minute more of footage, maybe. And I'm cool with that. But man,
What'd you
this
think?
looked
Now give
good.
us your thoughts.
I know,
This
yes,
looks great,
Greg.
man. I'm not finished with Rebels yet, but I am familiar with the Inquisitor. So interesting to see that character live action. I want to see from what I just saw there, it looked great. Of course, I want to know the story of Obi Wan. I want to know how. Like this makes me wonder, just based on the intro with the starship we're flying up, how much Hayden Christensen / young Vader are we going to get into this? And then y'all sent me that damn Vader fan made teaser that got me all psyched up the
What?
other day, and then I realized it was a fan made one, and I was like, well, damn it. But I want to see that. But no, it was amazing. Like I said, this for me is one of those perfect castings, and it's my favorite Star Wars character. So I want to know this story. I don't need any more, but I'm gonna take all they give me from here until the end of that 6th episode. I'll tell you that right there. Just give it to me. I don't care. Spit on it. It'll work. It'll work. But what were some of y'all's favorite parts about that trailer? Was there anything that intrigued you that maybe you had questions about, or you just thought was fucking amazing to see?
Well, I know that we've heard that he's going off world, so I think this is interesting seeing the little bit here and there, because one of my biggest fears was like, we're going to have a whole entire Tatooine show. Like, you can't have that. I think what they do fantastic is they had that conversation in the trailer, which you couldn't hear, but it is Jedi can't help but help. Like it's in their culture. They're bringing up their pathos, their way of life, helping other people. And so whenever you put someone in a position to where like their life isn't, or someone else's life isn't harmed, they have to step in. So that's a real interesting part that I found the narration of this trailer to be, because it tells you what you need to know. It tells you that they're going to set a trap to bring the Jedi out, and that's what I want to see.
Nathan asked if we're going to see the helicopter spinny lightsaber fighting in live action.
I
Lori?
hope so.
Yes.
I would like to talk about this.
Do it.
Okay, so prior to me writing indie comics, I was in a production company called Coattail Collective in Michigan, and my job was fight choreographer. I've been in martial arts for 25 years, and I've done Filipino and Indonesian martial arts. So sticks, knives, weapons, right? So having seen the fight scenes from like Revenge of the Sith, where Hayden and Ewan actually did good lightsaber fights, to go to the newer ones where the fights were just terrible. And like the lightsaber scenes, like the throne room scene, it's like at first you get caught up in the action, and then you actually look at the fight, and it's terrible. It's terrible. So the fact that now we have spinny blades, like they better bring back some of those choreographers and do good fights. Like I want to see, because obviously these guys can do it, right? They've done it before. I want to see them do it again. I want to see the fights.
Put in the work.
Put in the work.
Yes.
Show us the good action. I want the long shots. I don't want any of that short, cut stuff.
They
I
should be
want
on
to
the
see it.
tail end of still having all of this as like a true art form. But I think that what they were trying to, I mean, I don't know if this was
I
the
get
exact
it.
reasoning, but yeah, like if 1, 2, and 3 were still like the good art form and fight styling, and Jedi were still very important in the world, then 4, 5, and 6, that stuff was falling off. And by the time you made it all the way down to the sequel trilogy, everyone just sucked because no one was able to teach you how to do it anymore. Apparently,
They should
reading a
be
book or
able to
watching a
do
video.
some kind of fighting.
I'm with you. I'm with
Like
you.
even the
There's
throne room
seven styles.
guards. I mean, I could go off on that. But anyway, but I agree with you. Like in the height of the Jedi power when the council was there and everything, and they were highly trained. Yes, they should be able to fight better than poor Rey, who's been in the desert collecting scraps. But
Yeah.
the Inquisitors were always amazing, and those spinny blades. I want to see that. I want to see it.
I want to
I
see
just
it
want
done
to see
well.
them do it, make it not suck.
I agree.
But I wonder how much you're going to see, because technically right now, aren't the Jedi so-called in hiding? So are you really going to see a lot of lightsabers? Because if you notice in the trailer, like the bits and pieces you see, Obi Wan has a blaster. He doesn't have a lightsaber.
Right. So it's just the Inquisitors that have the sabers. And
Right.
are they fighting other Jedis? Probably not. Except
That's why I
for
was saying that the narration was very important, because if they're trying to draw these people out,
Yeah.
then like at what point does it happen? You know, we see people like Cal Kestis, and video game, and we see other people how they try to tell those types of stories. I don't know where they're going to go with it. So clearly, I'm not on the inside. To bring
That's why
that
we
type
sit
of
back and
information,
just enjoy the ride.
I know that's why. I can be one and done on this one.
Okay, so do you think we will and or want to see Ahsoka Tano, a younger Ahsoka Tano in this series? Or do you want this to be a solo Obi-Wan series, not worry about any of the characters' storylines?
I'm going to say no. I don't want them to muck it up.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of on
Was it-
that too. I'm kind of on those lines too.
The talk has been that the Darth Maul fight goes on after this, and we could see that happen. I'm like, no, no one needs to see that. If you've already told it in canon on an animated TV show, just leave it be, let it die.
I
I just don't want them to get too mucky with it.
I get that. Plus, we're having an Ahsoka show, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So there's no reason to have to. I mean, it's tough for me to say that you won't see something like that just based on what they've done with all the characters they brought into Mando and Boba Fett. But it's one of those things. If I saw it, I think I'd be okay with it, as long as it wasn't like a show about Ahsoka Tano, because I want it to be about a show about Obi. But I agree with you, Ross. I think that it'd be better if maybe they just stayed away from that. Maybe the only character I want to see in here that's not Obi-Wan that's really big is maybe like Hayden Christensen. Or
I think that they
Vader.
could tell, they could drop the name or
Yeah.
talk about Fulcrum or like whatever the case may be. I'm just probably past Fulcrum for her, but I mean, you could do, why not? You could talk about it, but you don't have to show it. You can just say that, it's happening at the same time.
Yeah.
That was one of my questions, is like, where exactly does this fall in line with Rebels? Because some of these Inquisitors are in Rebels, you know what I mean? And some of them don't make it past that show. Like, I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't finished Rebels, but some of them don't make it out, right?
Right.
So this obviously has to be before some of that, but where are we exactly? That's a good question.
This is not long after Return of the Jedi. Or not Return of the Jedi.
So we're picking
sorry,
that up. But then where does Rebels fall?
Revenge of the Sith. I'm not sure. Timeline wise, Nathan, you're in the chat room. You're my Star Wars time person.
This movie, I believe, is supposed to happen before Clone Wars.
Okay.
So everything that we're supposed to be seeing is supposed to be happening in that time span.
Before Clone Wars?
Before
Not
Rebels?
Clone Wars, before Rebels,
Oh, okay.
excuse me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was reading it as he would. I didn't read it whenever he wrote it. But yeah, so if it happens before Rebels, then what we're looking at is Clone Wars was before Sith, then Sith, and then you had the 18-ish, 20 years between Sith and New Hope. And so then you turn around, you're going to have 6 years before Rebels, maybe? No, well, I guess Luke was still young in that episode. I gotta go backtrack.
Yeah. Well, Nathan says it's 10 years after Sith and Rebels is 15. So I guess this is 5 years before Rebels. So that's right about what you were saying there, Ross. So yeah. Yeah, that sounds about right. So that means Rebels takes place 15 years after Order 66. Wow. That's crazy.
That makes sense.
Rebels, I don't know the complete timeline of that show as far as when it starts and when it ends, but I mean, it's a couple years just by looking at the characters.
Mhm.
because they actually show growth in the characters in that show. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know what episode or season that you're on, Greg. You have to finish it before this show comes out.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Well,
will.
but the thing is, if I had to finish it before the
Come up
show
there and
comes
kick
out,
you in
this
the
is
butt.
Rebels after this show, though, right? So why? I mean,
It doesn't
Because
matter.
you need the information. You
Need the
need the information.
I got you. I mean, like I
Just
said, I already
finish
know how it
Rebels.
ends.
We've been
I got
saying this.
two seasons left. Season 2 was so long, it was insane.
But it's so good.
So long.
It was
But you
good.
got the end of
It
the
was
season
good.
2, right?
It
End
was
of
like
season
29 episodes.
It was 24.
Yeah, it
And
was
we
long.
loved every one of them.
It was good. I'll give you that. It was good, but it's a lot to take on at once, especially whenever I'm trying to watch Picard and all that good stuff. So still haven't gotten season 1 of that yet, but I don't think you need to watch season 1, to be honest with you. I'm really enjoying it without season 1. I feel like it's a whole new story, but we'll talk about that when we talk about Picard. Sorry, we chase squirrels here too, Laurie. You know,
I'm good with that.
but all the time. Okay, so let's think. Obi Wan. Man, I don't know what else to say about this teaser other than, I mean, we've known this has been coming for so long, and we've had ideas of what it's been about. And like you said, it was just funny that the day that we see the day after, as soon as we see the photos leak, of course they drop the trailer. Like you said, Ross, they want to get right on top of that, and they're usually pretty quick about that, which makes you wonder if it's a real leak anyway.
Well, it was all coming from, like, all the photos that I saw were on EW the next morning. So
Yeah. So I don't think it's a leak. I think they're like, hey, go ahead and put these out tomorrow. We're dropping this anyway. So get the scoop.
I think that they should have done a 30-second spot on the Super Bowl. Still stand by it. I don't understand why you wouldn't. You could do a real quick show, maybe his face, shadow, Darth Vader breathing. Leave it at that. Move on.
Dude, it's like $6 million, and you know Disney ain't got it like that. Come on, man.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
They already did a Doctor Strange, so it could
That's
be
true.
12 million.
That's true. They didn't want to have to pay that double. So, but yeah, man, I'm excited for it. Once again, didn't even know Inquisitor was in it. Now that I'm sitting here looking at after I've played it, it's got the breakdown of it, and it's just pictures of Inquisitor everywhere. I'm like, oh well, I'm glad I avoided everything about it between when it came out and now.
There's 3 of them, I think.
We got the
Yeah, you
Grand
got, like,
Inquisitor,
You got Grant, and then you got, like, what is the fifth
The
brother?
Grand Inquisitor? The fifth brother, for sure.
And then-
second or third sister, whatever.
And the
second
third
sister.
sister? Third night
Third
sister?
The Night Sister? I didn't see her.
No, not night. Well,
She's a,
so they call them
Seventh
brothers and
sister.
sisters for the Inquisitors. So
Okay, that's who the other character
but
was.
Reva is not, like, I was looking up Reva and I could not find her.
Well,
Did you guys find?
she's a character out of Fallen Order, isn't she? Because I think they were talking about, like, one of the.
yep, she's in there, and then the woman that she turns, or yeah, it's a part of the main plot line of Fallen Order, I guess, background
I
plot
need to go
line.
look
But
that
yeah,
up.
Oh, I'm finishing Fallen Order as soon as I finish Knights of the Old Republic.
Because she was the one I was trying to look up. I was like, I need more information on this Inquisitor because I don't have any information.
one of the levels in Fallen Order takes you to the, what do they call it, the Inquisitor, whatever their base is, whatever that water surrounded
Mm-hmm.
statue-esque building is. And so that's actually in the game as a level that you go to.
Cool.
So like all of that stuff is kind of tucked away in there because that falls kind of right there, and there's so much that happens, you know,
Yeah.
like you can tell so many stories in this timeline.
Yeah.
It's a perfect timeline to tell
It's
anything
a lot
about.
of years to cover, you know. I bought Fallen Order, the special edition. Like, I was all psyched for it when it came out, and I played like the first 15 minutes of the game, and then I haven't picked it up since. It's a great game. You know what? I'm getting older now, and gaming is not as. I don't have as much time.
stuff to do. Dude, you got a farm to
That's right.
tend.
I got an adult.
Too
It's
many
the, like,
eggs.
The only non-racing game that I've played in like the past 5 years.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Knights of the Old Republic is the first game I've bought since Fallen Order. Like, games just haven't been my thing in the last few years. So.
Yeah, I just live vicariously through my husband when he plays. So he
There
did
you
play Fallen Order, and I would sit there and watch it because I just don't have patience for those type of games. If it's not Lego, I don't have patience for it.
Well, you almost get the
Or Lego games.
It's not.
half the
Oh,
fun
Lego
playing.
games? I love Lego.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking
Lego
of
games.
I play Fallout games. Fallout 4 is my favorite.
Oh yeah, my husband does that too. I mean, he's like, oh yeah, he's a gamer.
Are you
Like,
excited for that Fallout TV show?
I,
Yeah.
yes and no. I'm afraid
Yes
they're
and
gonna
no?
mess it up.
Mm,
I'm more excited for Halo. I'm just more excited for that.
Yeah, yeah. My
yeah.
husband's more of like Halo and Destiny, and
Yes,
that I think
yes.
they can do that better than they can do Fallout. I
That was
mean,
really weird. It was really odd to hear that they were going to do that. I was like, really? Okay, because I mean, it's kind of like a post-apocalyptic type deal, anyways. So I
which
guess
is
they're
my
going to
jam.
do. Yeah.
Clearly.
As long as you
Literally,
run
it's my
around with the
jam.
dog, as long as it's got the dog, because that's the dog is about the only thing that
Well,
Dog
Halo
meat's the
must be pretty
best.
good.
you've got to have your animal friends.
Yep.
There you go.
That's a plus, especially post-apocalyptic.
But
Yeah, as long as
Halo
they
must
don't
be
get you
pretty
into
good,
trouble.
right?
Halo?
Well,
Yeah, I was gonna
They
say the
picked
show
it
because
up.
they've already picked up the second season of Halo, haven't they? And
Really?
they haven't even aired the first season, so it must be pretty good.
Wow.
Or
Isn't it
they're
supposed to come out the
expecting
end of
it.
this
Sarah, it's like
month?
you don't listen to my news.
Yeah, I mean, once again, I'm always skeptical about video games and live action because they tend to usually not be that great. There's some good stories told, but they just don't tend to. The games tend to be better. Like I'd rather see
Oh,
the
we
cutscenes.
grew up with
Yeah.
Resident Evil, and it was a little tough to
I
to
grew up with
swallow
Sega
much of
CD,
anything
sir.
after that. So,
That was
I'm
the
still waiting for
prime.
Gears of War. I'm still waiting for that.
oh, I saw the life size character too. I was showing you guys those Lego pictures. I saw a life size, like full on built, not cardboard, like full on built, like mache statue of that figure, and I'm like,
Gears of War.
Whoa.
yeah, I'm like standing underneath it, like I was gonna take a picture with it, but it was a little odd, so I didn't want to.
Oh yeah,
Didn't want
speaking of
to.
Halo, I think March 24th. I think that's when that's supposed to premiere, isn't it?
Yep.
It's on Prime, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, we
No.
will be
No.
covering it.
No, it's on Paramount.
No, it's on Paramount.
It's on Paramount. Oh, see,
See?
another reason to watch Paramount.
Paramount's got all the good stuff.
You're right. It's
Now
got
they
a lot of
do.
good stuff. Yeah. All right. Well, is there anything else you want to say about the Obi Wan trailer?
And it's releasing
wait.
what, May? What?
24th?
25th.
25th.
Don't have too long till it, but we still got a little while, so enough time to marinate. You know,
May is a good month.
May is a good month. So, all
I
right,
got
so
two
let's move
birthdays to
on.
handle that month, so.
Oh.
I get through all my birthdays from October to February. That's my birthday holiday month. Like from February on till September, that's my relief from birthdays and holidays. So I'm in that window right now. It's great. But all right, well, cool. Let's move on then. Let's Sarah, real quick. We'll talk about the Boys Diabolical if y'all want to, and then we'll just keep rolling through stuff. So. Laurie, I had spoken with you about this beforehand. I didn't know if you wanted to join the show for what we were doing, but I told you what we were going to watch, and I had mentioned the Boys Diabolical, and I wasn't, trying to peer pressure you, but I sent you a message. I was like, "Hey, I checked out the first episode; it was pretty good, real short snippets." And you said, "Oh, I've already seen all of them," which is
I
cool.
watched them all. I binge watched them that night. I was like, all right, I'll start watching. And then I just kept going. They're only like 12 minutes. They're amazing. They're amazing.
Yeah.
They're just so, I mean, like, and then, when you start seeing who's actually writing these, and it's, I mean, like, there's Seth Rogen, Aquafina, Andy Samberg, Aisha Tyler, Justin Roiland. I mean, like, if you watch episode 2, it's totally Rick and Morty. I mean, there's nothing to dislike about these. It's all built in the world, and they're just done all different ways. It kind of reminds me of like when Love, Death, and Robots came out.
I love that show.
Yeah, and I mean,
I'm
like,
the
they're
only,
all a little
the
bit
only other
different.
person who's watched it.
Oh yeah, Ross! Woo! All right, so Love, Death, and Robots is awesome, and you have to go watch it. There's 2 seasons now, but like the first one just kind of like blew my mind because it's all these really different concepts and like different approaches to this topic, and it's the same thing here. It's like all the cartoons are a little bit different, but they're all based in the same like canon and mythology. And then like some of them you can see that the characters from like episode 3 has Butcher in it, and then like episode 8 you get to see Homelander, and they're all done really well. I really
It's very
enjoyed it.
similar
I'm
to-
glad that you told me to go watch them.
Yeah. Well, it's very similar to Star Wars Visions, where they had just different
Yes.
stories from the same universe with different artists and different ways to tell the stories, and it worked really, really well. I mean, the first episode you were getting big Looney Tunes vibes. Second episode,
Yeah.
Rick and Morty. Third episode is more Ren and Stimpy-ish. I think
Yeah.
around like episode 5 or 6, I was like, man, this feels like an episode of Steven Universe, like just the artwork. So you get to see a lot of different things in there, and it was cool to see the different portrayals that people can have in the same universe. Um, what I was more intrigued with was when I was watching, it kind of reminded me of being younger and watching cartoons. Like for some reason, like you'd watch a Looney Tunes cartoon, and this is the stupidest damn thing you've ever seen. But for some reason, I'm watching it and I want to see what happens next. And it was kind of like
Uh-huh.
this with this, like, man, this is really stupid. Like, but I kind of want to see what happens. Like it's only a 12-minute episode. I thought they were fun. You get done with it, and Ross, you described it to me as you're going to start watching it, and as soon as you start watching it, there's going to be a what the fuck moment. And yeah, there definitely is in every episode where you're looking at it and you're like, wow, they just went there. Okay, cool.
Episode 2 for sure.
Yeah. Well, even the end of episode 1, the whole episode.
Oh,
Episode
the
1,
whole
there's no
episode.
dialogue. Yeah, there's no dialogue
Right.
at all in episode 1. It's just completely silent. So, but you get to a point in the episode where you're like, all right, where's this going? And then the what the fuck moment happens. And you're like, oh, okay, so it's just killing the rest of the episode, kind of, I guess. So,
Blood,
Yep.
guts, and gore.
yeah.
Well, I mean, if it's the boys, I mean, what do you expect?
Yes.
I mean, I'd be
It
a
fit in
little
that universe,
disappointed
Blood,
if it
guts, and
wasn't.
gore, debauchery. Yeah. Hypocrite.
I just think it's a fantastic little primer for their universe. I mean, you have the
Yeah.
show itself, which has sucked all these people in. Then you're going to turn around and have almost like a dark version of like almost kind of like an America's Got Talent of like superstars. What they're talking about is almost like a trailer park edition of that, where like the people who do have superpowers, who do, because this whole show is based on the Vought blue liquid, whatever they're calling it. So whenever
Compound,
these people take it, and it's fun to see the other side of it. Like you don't become a superhero; you become a dude with boobs on his face, or a speaker head, or like all of these other things. Like
Sarah hasn't seen
you
it
have to
yet.
watch it.
Yeah. The second episode, it's all the superpower, like the people whose superpowers went wrong.
It is called an
Are just
animated
dumb.
short where pissed off soups kill their parents.
Yeah.
That's what the
Yeah.
name of it is.
Yeah.
Because that's what
That's
happens.
the Rick and Morty episode. It's hilarious.
Christian Slater's a baby. He's in there like narrating the thing. It's fantastic.
You know what's so
So-
funny is I haven't heard Christian Slater in forever, but immediately that voice stood out to me, and I was like, "Oh, it's Christian Slater." Okay.
Because you don't watch the Lego Star Wars stuff. Like he's
I
always
don't.
in like the
Right,
Lego
yeah.
Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
No, but like I said, it's a fantastic little primer because they're gonna bring out a lot more of the universe specific stuff for the boys. Do believe they have at least 2 other spin-offs that they're discussing. One they have not talked about, and the other one was kind of like what I was just discussing. And you're gonna get the next season of the boys. So there's a lot of boys stuff coming your way. Once Amazon realized that they had a winner with that, they just ran with it.
Yeah, but season 3 is taking forever.
Everything's
had-
taking forever.
Yeah.
It's that
But the
anticipation
spinoff
that
is
they're gonna
having problems too. I was reading that they lost 2 of their actors just because production has been. I mean, they've been signed on for 2 years and nothing has been shot.
Yep.
Production has not
Wow.
started. So then they
do. That's
lost
just for the
2
spin-off?
for the spinoff. Yeah, the
Hmm.
season 3 is fine, as far as I know.
I know I've heard nothing about season 3 as far as if they got problems, they're covering it up pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty
but I
much
mean,
bought
there has
stuff.
to be something going on because it's taken forever, man. Jensen Ackles has said so many things about Soldier Boy.
Skarsgård just got arrested. Which one of you was sending that? If Greg was sending that information, and I was like, "Well, how long is that going to take for season 4 to come out?"
No, that was Anthony Starr, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Anthony
Yes,
Starr.
in
There you go. My
Spain.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
he,
reading the Boone stuff before this.
I guess he was feeling Homelander vibes.
I mean, that won't stick. He'll be out.
Oh, yeah.
Make money. He's a celebrity.
He'll do
They
what
don't
Magic did.
actually
He'll stick
serve
a bunch of
time.
money in a blender and then
Yeah.
inject it into a cop or something. Who knows?
Celebrities don't actually. Jim Boheim, coach for Syracuse, like 2 years ago, ran over a person on the highway and didn't even miss a game. Celebrities don't serve time. It's not gonna happen.
Dude, you got enough money. You can hit someone with a car and have them apologize to you.
Exactly.
So is this like for real, the boys? I mean, so
As
it
far
seems
as
like as far as the soups, they damage, they
Oh,
they do whatever they want and they
yeah.
get away with it, and now the
Yeah.
actors are in the same place.
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah.
Talking about method
I mean,
acting, I guess you
the
think it's another
superpowers
level.
are politics and money.
True.
So I wanted to ask y'all before we got off the boys. The last episode for me was the one that most connected to the actual series because it seems like almost like a background story for Homelander. It looks like Homelander at one point in time, from what I'm getting from this, wanted to be that good guy, that Superman image, and then realized that that's not possible through this episode. And it kind of makes me respect Black Noir a little bit. This is almost a Batman versus Superman type vibe, where Black Noir is always just one step ahead of him. And it makes me wonder how this is going to go into the future because we've always had that tension between Noir and Homelander in the show, but not really type deal. So now we have a little bit of background information about that. What did y'all think about that episode?
It was real interesting seeing how he just realized that there's no way for him to hold on to, like, basically keep his shit together is what it comes down to.
Mhm.
Because he has such a great skill set, like you said, like Superman. What do you do with that when you are basically an immature toddler? You want to do good, you want to impress your parents, but you have no idea how. So I found that dynamic very interesting, just for a simple fact that he's like, "No, I came here to save you." And like, when he holds a chick up against the wall and like rips her jaw off, I'm like, "What the shit?"
Yeah.
Yeah, she Darth Mallet his ass. Big time.
It's what you want to do to people when they start doing stupid shit. It's like, I wish I could just do
Shut
That
just
don't mean you do
end
it.
you. Period.
Well, I
But you
think
can't.
in this version he didn't understand his power. It was one of those
That's-
freak out moments. I think this was the realization of the best comic book line ever in a movie of if something is all good, it can't be all powerful type thing, and vice versa. You can't be all powerful and all good if you're a hero. And I think this is the moment where Homelander realized that I want to be all good, but I can't be all powerful type deal whenever he does that. So it was an interesting episode. I'm wondering if this slingshots us into something in the season 3 with Black Noir and Homelander. Like, do you start to get some tension? Because he's the one you've seen the least about, I think, in the entire series. He's
Noir?
always been in the background. Yeah, he's always. I mean, there was an episode about him, I guess, in season 2, right? That was
Yeah.
kind of focused on
Yeah.
him. But you haven't gotten as much about him as you have everybody else. And
Well, that
I guess
he
for a
doesn't
character that doesn't
talk.
talk. Yeah, I'd say for a character that doesn't talk, I guess it's harder to write roles for. But
I love that too, where he's like, ho, I'm gonna pull out my
Yeah.
notebook. Slow
But that's-
down.
That's what he was trying to do in the first place. That's what he was trying to do. Like when Homelander was like spouting all the stuff that Madeline had put in his head. So that's the problem with Noir, I think, is that he can't easily communicate and he hears everything. So he knew Homelander was unstable, but he couldn't stop him. He went to reach for his notepad and Homelander went off, so he had to run. So it's like I don't know. He's an interesting character, and I'm wondering how much of that animosity is just built up in Homelander's head, like everything else, and in how crazy he is, and then Madeline putting stuff in his head, and it's like, Noir could be a totally cool guy, and we just don't know it because we never get to hear his side of the story. He's probably not a good guy. He's probably effed up like everybody else, but
right. I mean, in my mind, I picture Noir as like a Batman Rorschach mixture.
yeah, that's interesting.
That's kind of the way I imagine him. So I'd like to get more into that character, but I don't know. Like I said, it just seemed like for me that being the last episode of this little series and them springboarding into the 2.5 and the season 3. I wonder if that has anything to do with maybe where they're going in the future of this series, is having something with Black Noir and Homelander, because apparently Black Noir used to be the number one.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was the lead guy before Homelander came in and took over. So I'd be interested to see that.
But again, Homelander's a pretty boy. He doesn't have a mask completely covering his face, and he can communicate. So immediately he's gonna
take your head.
Take the limelight, take the spotlight.
Mm-hmm. Plus, Homelander has all the powers, man. Like if you're gonna be a superhero, that's the set you want to get. Like
yep.
So I don't know. But Sarah, seriously, 10, 11 episodes, you'll love it. You'll love
I'm
it.
sure. I'm sure I'll get to it. I'm sure
Yeah,
I'll
you
get
like
to
the
it.
boys.
I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
it's just like same with Peacemaker.
Oh,
Sat
yeah.
down and just watched the whole
Yeah.
damn thing like right in one sitting. So
The whole thing, all of Peacemaker.
I sure did.
That's
I
awesome.
started when I because I had
Did you see me in there?
I don't know if I paid that much attention.
There's a couple called the Calcaterras in the Peacemaker.
It was one weekend. I don't know. It might have been when I had travels for work or whatnot that week. And when I came home that weekend, I'm like, I'm sitting on the couch. I'm not doing I'm doing nothing. So I got like my iPad and just sat back. Because
Except
that's one where I
tasting
put
it.
that's where I put like
Yeah.
the earbuds in because I'm like, young and Jay ain't watching this. Y'all go on. I mean, it's
Mhm.
not like I haven't heard anything like that, but I'm like, y'all just go on. Just go away. Let me just be in here. So I binged the whole series.
Isn't that
Can't
the
wait for
beauty of
season
today's
two.
day and age? Where you can do
Can't
that.
wait for
but you
what?
can just-
Can't wait for like season 2.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Because I was really, really impressed with it.
It's gonna be good.
I was skeptical going into that one, but then I remembered James Gunn, and I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. And then, what happens in the first episode is just so crazy, and I was like, he's fighting with a half-naked chick. I don't know
See,
what's going on.
It's
I
funny
mean, he
you
got
say
hugged
that.
by an eagle. I mean,
Miracles happen.
there
Right.
you
You don't believe
go.
in it? Right. It's funny you say that though, Laurie. That like you were skeptical going in, and then you saw James Gunn, and that was what sold you. Because for
Well, it has
me,
to, yeah.
James Gunn is what made me skeptical.
Really?
Yeah,
It's very
about
James
going into
Gunny.
it. Yeah,
Yes.
because he's hit or miss for
It,
me. I've seen some
yeah.
things that I love from James Gunn. I've seen some things that I'm like, I'll probably never watch that again. You know,
Well,
Guardians of
these
the
At
fellas can
least,
attest to how long it took me to watch that.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
they
and
say
that was
bye
for
to
the
we
you
had
hatred
the
of
like
the character in
time.
the movie.
5 weeks in a row. Like, we're gonna talk Peacemaker. Bye.
But I just
I
remember
think
like all the controversy that happened with James Gunn, and that's when DC scooped him up, and that's when he wrote this.
yep.
Mhm.
So he was like real prime, prime candidate. He was real into writing at that time, and
Mhm.
that's why I was
Oh,
like, okay.
yeah, he's got some amazing stuff. Like I said, but it's just real hit or miss for me. It's either way too Gun for me, or it's just the right amount. You
See
know.
the opening musical scene, that was a little too much for me. I was like, it's really necessary. I was
What would
like,
you say if you saw that opening musical scene in Lego form? Would that do it
I
for
would
you?
probably enjoy it better.
Interesting, because I think
I
I had
saw
some
that it
mixed
was Lego
feelings
and I
about.
sent it to Sarah, and I'm
Yeah,
like, Sarah might enjoy this.
yeah. Let me see if I can pull that up on here somehow. I just need to send it to myself on Twitter. So
Well,
I can
you
pull that
guys that was like the first thing I saw was like the opening scene. They're like, "You've got
Oh,
to
that's
see
right.
this." I'm like,
up. I think that
What am
actually
I
already
watching
did.
here?
it's like you're not helping your case right now.
Greg tried to sell Sarah on it. It's like, you got to watch the opening. You watch this, and you may be into it. And we've already seen the trailers at that point, plus like however many weeks of like the show that we were watching. But I find it so remarkable that like that season finale was the highest watched thing on HBO original series. Period.
Wow.
Like, it was amazing. Not to mention that, like we said on here countless times, it was the #1 rated DC thing on anything.
It's
It is
a
Wow.
the
hidden
only
Popped
gem.
DC
everything up.
property, the only
Okay.
DC property that I talk to people about that I had never have to debate with them about why I like this or why this is
Yeah.
good or not. It really
Which is
And
funny
is.
because
that's
his
what I was
character
so
sucked.
that's what I was so shocked about because after watching Suicide Squad, that Peacemaker, that character, I'm just like, really, you're gonna have a series based on this dude? Seriously?
Oh,
Yeah. See, I was
Like,
with you.
really?
Yeah. I was like, what are you
What?
doing? Are they gonna go to the mall?
I mean, is
Sarah,
he
I'm
just
gonna
gonna run
ask.
around in his underwear? I mean, what the hell's going on
Yeah,
here? I mean,
and
it's
he
just
did. And he did.
Sarah, I'm gonna ask you one more time. Do you want to taste it?
oh,
'Cause we're about to.
oh God.
Tastes good.
Oh, is my sound not playing? Oh, come on, the sound has to play if I'm gonna do that.
Greg, you know
Oh,
the sound I
Anyway,
always play the first time.
yeah. Anyway, it's
oh
never
my
as good
god.
without sound. But anyway, Ross shared this with me earlier. So the intro of Peacemaker with in Lego form. Everything's
Oh
better in
my
Lego form.
gosh.
It is.
The fact that someone takes the time to do all of this is always amazing to me.
These are the kind of things that I would sit down and waste my time doing, to be truly honest with you. It's why I can appreciate it some more. And that was a perfect slide by Lego Peacemaker too. Perfect slide in the intro and perfect slide by him there.
Those are some nimble Lego legs. Oh,
Oh Lord.
All
I
right,
always thought this intro was a little too long, but I still watched the whole thing every time it came on.
I did not. I was
I
like,
did not. I
and
skipped
skip.
it. Yeah. A
Missed
couple
it.
times, like I'm good.
My wife's doing a dance class at the gym that we go to, and she wants to incorporate this. She said she wants to buy, but she said by the end of the season she wanted everybody to be doing the stance. But I don't think they started it yet. So, but it would be
Like,
pretty
you
cool
got
to
8
walk in the
weeks, you
gym and
better
see
get to
everybody
go.
doing this.
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna ask you. We're talking DC and everyone's
Anyway.
watching, but
Yes. Eagly.
I've got to ask the question because it's been on my mind.
Hmm?
Why are we still getting DC delays? We are this far into everything, and I told you guys I was going to be happy when I could finally buy a ticket. We got Batman, and then like a week later, we get delays. I mean, they're moving one movie forward, but everything else is delayed.
I couldn't tell you, man. To be truly honest with you,
How long has the Flash had to be in the can at this point?
the
I
Flash.
told
has
you,
to be
dude, until
filmed.
I'm sitting in the theater watching it. Probably
You're not
not
gonna
until
believe
the
that.
end credit. I'm still not going to believe it.
Yeah.
I'm kind of at that point too, and I get that. I don't know, man. I guess seeing some film on it makes me happier, but I feel like the Flash has to be done filming, like done filming. Like I've seen a lot of stuff on it. Like it has to be done filming. What?
They
But I
moved
mean,
Black
do they have to
Adam
do?
from July to October. They moved Aquaman from December to like the following year in March, actually St. Patrick's Day. And they moved Flash from November to the following June.
Do you think
What?
timing? Do you think
Yeah.
timing of when it's released has anything to do with that? Because I'm not gonna lie.
The hell are they
With-
waiting for?
Yeah, well, I agree. It's all about money, I think. Think about it. Do you think that the Batman
they tell
didn't
you.
have as big of an opening as Spider-Man? Okay. Do you think that if the Batman would have opened in December like Spider-Man did, it would have had a bigger opening? I feel like there's bigger movie going months, and maybe that's why they're moving stuff.
They
Maybe
had
maybe more competition coming out of that time. They want to have the whole first few weeks for themselves. I'm not sure
Well,
how
they
it
had
works.
Aquaman in December.
Yes.
And they moved Aquaman. And so then what they did was they ended up moving. So Shazam's the one that moved forward. It went from June of next year. Look, and don't get me wrong, like Marvel has done this too. Like I'm only saying it because DC has continuously done it like over the past 3 years.
Right.
And I'm still sitting here trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. I get what you're saying. I keep going back to COVID. I keep going back to like why they're trying to figure out why people aren't going to the movie theater. But here's the thing. You have to get out of your own way to keep progressing. And they're not going to progress if we keep pushing shit out. Like, I loved Peacemaker. Peacemaker was its own thing. Not to mention, you know how I feel about TV shows. I'm so much more a TV show than a movie person right now.
Mhm.
But you can't move to the next thing if you don't get the stuff that you have out.
Yeah.
They're not doing anything. I mean, if it's not going to make money, let it not make money and move on to the next thing. Like reinvent yourself or figure out the way that you're going to reset it. Are they not ready to reset it? I mean, is that why they push Flash? But even then, I know that money is the root of all evil. But shit, at some point you got to do
That's it.
something.
Do you
It's
think
like
this? Okay.
I'm having flashbacks to Justice League when the shit hit the fan with that, and Zack Snyder left, and they brought in Joss Whedon, and they decided to move forward, even though they were going to do a bunch of reshoots. They still wanted to release it when they wanted to release it because it affected their end of year. You know what I mean? It has more to do with like the executives and how their financials work. You know what I mean? Whether they make a gain or a loss, and what they're trying to do with their taxes. I don't know. Does it have to do anything with it? Or I'm still with you. Like the pandemic drives either people in the seats or keeps them home. But while they're still releasing things to HBO Max, it's like, we're going to stay home. If I can watch it at home, I'm going to watch it at home. I don't got to deal with the kid kicking my seat behind me. You know what I mean? I don't have to keep telling my kids to be quiet if they're with me.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're not watching all of the things, but it's like, if you're releasing things at home, we're watching it at home. If you want to release things for the theater, you have to not release them to at home.
Mhm.
Otherwise, we're going to continue to do it. So I don't know what the answer is, but I think a lot of it is to do with more the higher ups and what they're looking at. That
The money.
Well, the
Yeah, the
company
bottom
structure is
line and
still
all their
messed up.
the financials that always like speaks loud and clear.
Do you
Yeah.
think that the success of the Batman has anything to do with it? Because they did cancel. They were going to do the show on HBO Max with Jeffrey Wright as Gordon, but they did cancel that show. What, a week after the Batman came out? Like
Well,
totally canceled it. So
I
do you
heard
think
different
maybe
things
they're trying to
about that.
write him into this universe? You think?
I heard they were
I don't
going
think
a
it's a good
different
idea.
direction, and not only did they have the Penguin ready to go, but they were going. Instead of trying to figure out that the idea of what they had was show worthy, but they had a better show idea that they wanted to go with. So they picked another direction they wanted to go with. Now, does that play into all the string of things? It could. I don't see how it would be, because you still have to shoot it.
Mhm.
Like I understand, like a movie would come out, but that's what the confusing part is. If you keep Ezra Miller as the Flash in a Snyderverse era, and now you're going to bring in like the whole Flashpoint idea, it's so it's topsy turvy. Like everything is so up in the air. You're spinning so many plates. Like you have the old plate still going when you're trying to get all your new stuff up and going. So if you're going to have a new show come out, the Batman's already in its own realm, pretty much. If we consider it like the Joker movie, and to where it has no effect, or it's just like you said, Elseworld stories, that's cool. And the Flash is going to be trying to bring in Elseworld stories and what we know and what we've seen. How it's just so nothing's black and
Too
white.
much.
Right.
There are 50 shades of gray, and not in a good way here.
Right.
But I
Ross-
think that's DC on a whole.
Yep.
You know what I
It's
mean?
not like a
They-
set plan. It's not like a set, like we're going to do, this, this, and this. Everything is like, all right, well, we're going to kind of piggyback on this is cool right now. So let's try to throw something in. So maybe I don't know, maybe they're trying to make some, I don't know. I don't know what the hell they're doing. I mean,
It's like
it's
they
just,
keep coming up with good ideas, and they're like,
They're-
"Oh, don't bring the movie out! Don't bring the movie out! I
it's
got
like,
a whole
just wait,
other idea."
we instead of doing this, hey, let's try to do it this way because, this worked like this. And maybe we can capitalize on this part of this aspect. And
People
it's
like
just-
the Batman. We need to bring the Batman in.
They're
is.
reactionary. That's what it
Exactly.
is. They're reactionary. So they
Yeah.
see what's happening now and they try to, you know what I mean? There is no set plan. Like, I mean, Marvel, they had like, okay, we're introducing, we have Iron Man, and then we have Captain America, and then we have Thor, then we're going to do an Avengers movie. They all get together. We introduce these side characters, and then we're going to do phase 2, So they had a plan all the way through Infinity War and Endgame. They knew where they were going. But DC is like, we're going to bring in this, and then we're going to do that. And then, wait a minute, no, we're going to change this. And, Ben Affleck got arrested, so we're going to drop him as Batman, and we're going to do something else. And it's like they're reacting to what's going on, and they don't have a set plan. They're just seat of the pants flying.
No.
It's not a good way to go, obviously.
And that
That's why
came
it's
from the
like-
beginning. That came
it's
from the
like
beginning
Marvel
by them not
movies,
having faith. Yeah.
DC Comics.
I think they had a plan. That's you're not wrong. I agree. But I think DC had a plan going in. I think that the powers that be didn't like the plan that was set in place, because you remember Snyder had 5 movies in place, like in his
Yeah.
storyline. 5 movies in place to include the Justice League movie we saw, Batman vs Superman, and Man of Steel. Okay. I think DC didn't like that because it wasn't fast enough for them. They wanted to catch up to Marvel, which I understand.
Yeah.
Marvel was doing great things, and they have amazing movies. I'm not talking shit about Marvel. I love their movies. I love a lot of the comics too. But they messed up by trying to catch up.
Yeah.
And Ross, I've known you your whole life, man. A plan is your thing. Like, look at those lines on the wall behind him, y'all. This guy's a perfectionist. Everything about, like, a plan is what he likes to follow, and I get that. I'm more of a wing it guy, which is why we work together. But I totally get what you're saying. I would like to see a plan from DC, but I really just want to see production of movies. Like, I don't need to understand the plan. Just give me something. And I get what you're
I've
saying.
told you before.
It's just taking forever, and
Just
pushing
pick a
stuff back
direction.
sucks.
I was going to say, maybe they just need to hire Ross to write them a plan.
He'll do it.
No.
He'll do it.
No.
Ross, there you go.
They need an action plan so you can like follow as they do this.
No, I can force a plan. Like,
Yeah.
but I need someone smarter than me to do that.
But yeah, shoot, how do we get on to DC and all that stuff? We were talking about
Peacemaker, man.
Ross did
Peacemaker. That's right. Squirrel. That was a huge squirrel we just chased.
I
That
need
was
to
a
know
fun one.
these things.
It was
Here's what I
fun.
want. I want DC to succeed. I always have. And I've always felt like they were stepping on the back of someone else's heels who was still in their business. And like they just keep screwing it up. They can't. I just want them to do well, and they're not. And every time they turn around, I feel like the
It's like-
news is
just like-
downhill. And well, this all spun up from Peacemaker. Peacemaker was such a fantastic thing. I was not big on his origin story, not origin story, but the movie where he came from, Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
I
Right.
hated his role in that, but what they did for the TV show was fantastic. We couldn't stop talking about Peacemaker and Reacher, and Reacher got the highest like Nelson rating on the chart. Like, I guess I remember
Well,
last
it's the
week.
fact
I
of
guess it
having
was
the right
top streaming.
people in there to write it and to direct it, because the writing is the absolute. Because if you don't have the right people, right person in there to write it, I mean, it's not going to have a leg to stand on. You know,
And when
it's
you
just
get
like Justice League.
directors and writers, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, like with Zack Snyder, he had a plan, but unfortunately, life happened, and he was, he decided he was kind of forced off, and then, and you're bringing somebody else that did not have that vision, and it's really hard to, to move forward with somebody else's vision when there's like two totally different trains of thought going on here, and those trains just.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Snyder and Whedon are not a comparable.
No.
Both good directors, just not
No.
comparable at all.
Yeah.
They're not. Yeah.
So I mean, and that's what's happening. You don't really have anybody in there that's really like, if you had like a good writer, I'm not saying not solid directors, but I mean, you just got to have a good backbone, and they just don't have that good backbone to keep everything moving forward. But that's just my opinion.
We're all spinning.
Yep.
I get the thought. My problem comes with Snyder, even with what he had planned. I wasn't sold on it. And like only because I feel like he had a great plan to tell the big wigs at WB what he was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he tried to put that whole plan into action and tried to, bring all these other heroes and stuff into the mix, to me, it just didn't work. And like, even then, like Greg, I told you countless times, like, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut, see what they're going to do. Because like, if they're going to try to make something fantastic happen, I will wait for that fantastic thing to happen. But when you have a director and a writer who comes to the table and says, here's what I want to do, and either you're on board with what I have here and you stay on board with it until it's done and it's on the screen, that's what writers and directors want these days. People complain about Marvel not having that freedom. They complain that if they go there, they can't tell an artsy story. I feel like that's wrong because we've gotten some fantastic stories in Marvel.
True.
Mm-hmm.
But then I hear the same thing about Star Wars. And don't get me wrong, like Nathan said earlier, look, Rodriguez did some really weird shit in Boba Fett. And I was not on board for all of it. But the show as a whole, even though like it went multiple directions, was not a bad show.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It told you a story that people wanted to see and hear, and like I said, it just wasn't up everyone's alley. How long is it going to take DC to get to give me the story that they have? The one that they have, not even the one that they're going to do in the future. And I just want to get to that point because I'm tired of hearing about it. I just want to see it.
And everything you say there is a good point. And I'll have to get with you after the show, Ross, just because even though it's a moot point now, because I know DC's going a different direction, I have some pictures I'll have to show you that are not available anymore that I was able to snag before they were taken off the internet, of what the Snyder vision was supposed to be.
Oh no, you shared them with me.
Did I
You
share them
shared
with
them
you?
with- yeah.
Yeah. So like I feel like you're right. There wasn't a lot of stuff that paid off in the first little bit in the first few stories, but that storyline was going to pay off in the end. It was because that's just the way Snyder tells stories. I feel, and it really was going to pay off if we could have got that whole story. It was amazing, but not like I said. I totally get what you're saying. We are where we are now.
Yeah.
And I just want to see some. I want to see some DC content. I'm tired of stuff getting pushed back like you.
I am a realist, and I just need them to be real with me. If they can be real with me and give me the stuff that they have, and then we can progress forward from there. I would I'd much rather respect someone that does something wrong to just come out and tell me they did something wrong, and we move on from there. Learning point, blah blah blah. We keep going, and I just want to see their shit. That's what I want. I want to see.
Like,
their
quit
shit.
playing.
Yeah. Is Barry fast enough? Damn it! We have to answer that question. I hope they don't CW it. They probably will, because it's always the question. Kevin says he knows what I'm talking about. I have to say, Kevin. We got a lot of people in the chat room tonight. Hello to everyone. Trying to include everybody's comments in there. So appreciate y'all coming on. It's always fun. We do this every Friday night. And Laurie, you're welcome to come on anytime you want to. If there's everything you want to talk about. So we're just here shooting the shit, just like this.
This is kind of where I live too. So I'm right there with you guys. Like, I feel like I followed along with most of the squirrels.
Yeah.
Oh, we chase them. They're all over everywhere. Yeah.
These are our therapy sessions. Yeah,
yes, they are.
But I haven't watched any Picard, so I will sign off before you talk about that, because in the chance I do get to watch it, I don't want to know all the answers.
Okay. Now, you can ask them because they're the Star Trek experts. I'm just dipping my toes into Star Trek and starting to really, really get into this world. I did not watch season 1, but I'm watching season 2, and I don't feel lost at all. I feel like I'm really enjoying it. Does she need to watch season 1 of Picard? I mean, I would recommend it if you can, but does she need to watch season 1 of Picard to watch season 2? Or is it just kind of
up to this point, no.
I didn't think so. Really? It seems like I've gotten everything up to this
because
point.
Even I watching the second episode tonight, I was telling my husband, I was like, where the hell's all the stuff from season 1? I mean, it's almost like it's its own little.
So they mentioned.
They did mention it. They did.
Did they switch writers or something?
No.
It's weird.
What they do?
Then why wouldn't you continue?
The story is continued. They took it a different direction.
Yeah.
Okay.
And not in a bad way. Not like they just like, hey, look what's going on over here.
Yeah.
They started to tell. The end of season 1 allowed them to go a different direction. Okay. So it's not in a negative way whatsoever. The thing about Picard is that it's a love story to the next generation. Mm-hmm. If you have watched the Next Generation, if you grew up with Jean-Luc Picard or Jean-Luc Picard,
Why you say it like that?
You had to watch one of the episodes. If you grew up with that and that was part of your childhood or
my dad's a big Trekkie.
Yeah, so this really season 1 was fantastic. I love season 1.
Yeah.
It picked up perfectly to tell the story that it's telling now. What season 2 is doing is that it is pushing the story in the same direction, but there's so much happening. I can't really describe it without
spoiling.
Well, it's definitely some good stuff to check out. Like I said,
season 1 is good. So if you get an opportunity, I recommend watching season 1 because it is really.
Well, if I'm going to watch any Picard, I'm going to start at the beginning.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's only 8 episodes in the first season.
We just got that new trailer for Strange New Worlds. So
I need to
that's
find
the new show coming out. Watch that.
I was like, Captain Pike. I don't know how I feel about that, but he still got Spock.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep. Give it a shot. It looks fantastic.
Have you seen any of Discovery?
Say what?
Have you seen any of Discovery?
No. I think those are on Paramount, and I don't have. It's like, how many streaming services can you have these days?
Yeah.
So it's like we have Netflix, Amazon Prime. I don't have Hulu. We have HBO Max. I think that's kind of where we drew the line, where it's like we had so many, and then we just like got rid of a bunch of them. But yeah. So I was watching like Wheel of Time, and that was
such
good.
a disappointment. I was so disappointed in that show.
I haven't read the books though. I'm sure the books are way better. I'm sure they are, because I have friends that have read the books and have always recommended to read that series. So watching it was entertaining and good, but I bet you for those people who have read the books, they're like, this is crap. Yeah?
I'm just gonna.
You didn't like the twist at the end, though, did you?
I didn't like that. Number one, they compressed a whole enormous story. But
How much did they compress? Was it like one book that they made the first season, or
that book is known like among people to be like a fantastic, and a lot of people have been
Yeah.
worried that certain stories were going to come out based on books that they read and they were going to be ruined, and a lot of people felt like this was one that was ruined, that they thought that they could do all sorts of stuff with, and it looked fantastic on screen when they showed the trailers, but when they started telling the story, that's when it started to really dip down. So
That's a bummer. See, and that's what gets me about these things, because I want to tell my story. Sorry to recap back to my comic book, but
Yeah, you're good.
Do
when
it.
I wrote it, I wrote it as a screenplay. And I was like, when I first was thinking about it, I was like, I want this on Netflix, right? That's how I see it in my head. But me as a first time writer, they're gonna be like, here's your check. We're gonna do whatever we want with the story, and you're not gonna be a part of it because we already paid you. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that was my biggest concern, is that I was gonna lose control of my characters and my story.
Or you
So
told or R.R. Martin it, and you just come in and be like, "No, I'm still writing it, but I'm gonna give you a little hint about what happened." And then they just
he's
were
when is
screw
he
it.
gonna release his next book? He's been writing that for 17 years or something stupid. I mean, come on.
Better be good.
Sorry, I'm not
That's
upset
what
about it
I
at
think
all.
he's earning interest.
Well, all right. Well,
All right, yeah.
let's
I'll go.
let's say I got nothing else. Lori, it was a pleasure having you on. You know,
Thank you.
you're welcome back anytime. Like I said, this is the kind of stuff we do every week. We're here every Friday. If you ever see a show you want to talk about or a movie you want to talk about, hit me up. We'll squeeze it in the show
Cool.
and we'll get things working. If you have anything else you want to promote, more comic book stuff, let me know. But before you get out of here,
Well,
let everybody who's listening know where they can find your stuff at.
yeah, look me up on Facebook. If you want to search Facebook groups, Path of the Pale Rider, which if you get in there, you'll find out what that means. Because there's a meaning to that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dun,
Check it
dun,
out.
Dun,
dun.
dun, right. What does that mean?
Yeah,
So yeah, but Path of the Pale Rider in the Facebook group. We have a Facebook page. Instagram, it's all Path of the Pale Rider, all of it. The Insta, Path of the Pale Rider. The Twitter is Path Pale Rider,
Right.
at Path Pale Rider. So we cut out a few words, but you can find me just about anywhere. I have some stuff on TikTok. I'm going to be doing lots more things. I have all sorts of content I want to do. I just have to do it. So I'm getting there. But the first thing is to get that Kickstarter live and to get funded so we can get the story out. Because I guarantee you, once we get to episode 8, it's going to blow your mind.
Nice.
Kickstarter opens April 15th.
It starts April 15th. It goes live. You can come back us there. We got a bunch of different levels. We can remember we can hit that stretch goal. It's only it's $2,000 more to get it in color. Because I got to change all the prints. So printing is so expensive. Let me tell you, this could be a whole other episode about stupid Kickstarter and how it works. I love Kickstarter. It's not stupid. It's not stupid at all. I love it. Okay. We've backed lots and lots of projects, but until you actually have to figure out how it works as a creator, it's a learning curve. It's like drinking water from a fire hydrant. Okay. So I think knock on wood, I got a good handle on it. You know what I mean? So we're ready to go live. I got everything where it needs to be. And we'll go from there. But it was a challenge.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was a
Well,
challenge.
most good things in life come with challenge. So, and it looks like
Yeah.
you're reaping the benefits of it with this product you have here. It's really interesting storyline you got going on. I love the artwork. So, I'll be in touch with you because I definitely want to contribute to the Kickstarter. And once again,
Thank you.
autographed copy would be nice hanging up on the wall back there. That would be cool. So,
You're gonna have one, I promise.
I like it. Also, I will include all of your contact information in the show notes. I'll tweet it out tomorrow after I tweet out the information about the show. And then, of course, whenever it comes out on your podcast catchers of choice on Monday, it'll all be in there. So follow her. Laurie, we hope to have you back soon.
Cool.
I'll be in
I'd love
touch
to come
with you
back.
and just let me know what's going on. Okay.
Will do. I'll keep you up to date. I'll just send you a friendly email. We're going live today.
That works. That works. Well, I
And nice
appreciate
to
it.
meet
And
you all, Sarah.
Nice to meet you as
Mwah!
well.
I'm a fan. Ross, you're awesome. And I'll see you all
Nice to talk
later,
to you.
okay?
thank you.
Bye.
No kisses for you, Ross. All right, bye.
Oh, that was nice. I like Laurie. She was good. Awesome comic. Y'all check it out. Seriously, it's some really good stuff. Great artwork and looks like a really good story. I'm interested to see where she goes with this. So once again, I'll include all the information in the show notes.
Such a crazy concept.
It is. It's a really crazy concept. It's
I'm on board.
taking what you've known to the next level.
Yep.
And it's pretty cool. It's a new
Innovation.
take on the story. Real quick. Oh, so we're about to get into Picard. Panther Pickle in the chat says 7 and 9 is different in Picard than on Star Trek Voyager.
She
I can't
is.
comment on
because-
that.
I can't comment on that. The reason Seven's so much different is because she finally has gotten a grasp on her humanity and kind of like just basically excised all the like Borg assimilation. So it's, yeah. So, yeah, I agree with that. She is totally different than what she was on Voyager. Or when you first meet her on Voyager.
Before we get into Star Trek, Kevin's coming in and he's saying, he says Maul will be in the show. I guarantee it. He's talking about Kenobi. We were talking about Kenobi earlier. Maybe he might be, but I think, Ross had his sentiments about it. And I'm the same way. We've seen that before, right? Like, let's
I just don't want to see them. I don't want to see them step on their own feet.
Yeah, you don't
That's
see a
what
live action of something I've already done animated, right?
Maul deserves all sorts of things, and if they tell a story, what I think that would be fantastic is if they tell a story about maybe the whole syndicate deal. If they can find a way to incorporate him as the big bad without talking about them, that opens up something for them to do in the future. I just don't know if I want to see it in one of the 6 episodes of this show. I'm on board of seeing a syndicate show, a complete baddie villain show. Oh God, what's her name that played Kira from Game of Thrones? Anyway, she was on board with still playing that character. They brought her back in the comics. We have so many different possibilities, and I just don't want them to. I don't want them to close gap a much better story that they could tell in this. I want them to be able to do more with it. So I hope that they do. I hope that they mention it. I hope that they bring it on board and open that door. I just hope that they don't do it injustice.
Right. Like you said, you don't want to get the waters too muddy here. Like you want to have a simple story that's good for us. You don't want to get too entangled and I guess tie your hands behind your back.
Like case in points, like bringing a young Ahsoka in. I mean, it's like what what value is that really going to add?
We're going to have an Ahsoka show, exactly. Let's see her there. Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. So here we go. Let's start talking about Star Trek then. I am the Star Trek rookie. I'm not really a virgin anymore. I'd say a rookie now. I've been through a few Star Trek things. Sarah, last week you explained to me, or you sent me the Wikipedia on Q, and I read on that. And to be honest, Q kind of reminds me of, y'all remember Superman, the animated series? Mr. McBlicklis, or whatever his name is. I can't remember. It's so hard to pronounce his name. Mr. McBlick, something like that. Reminds me of that. Being from another realm, basically, that can control things in this realm. It reminds me of just kind of a pest to Superman. I was like, okay, that's him. So I see that now going into this. I liked in this episode how it goes straight to the point. Like you don't miss anything. There's no filler. It's straight to the point, straight to where this is what we got. This is where we're at. This is what we got to do. And I didn't think there was any wasted time in this episode. It was one of those moments where I didn't want to look away because I felt like if I looked away, I was going to miss something because it was moving very, very fast. But I liked the pace of this episode. I liked for them from where they were at in the beginning of it to where they're at in the end of it. Like first episode, introduction from last season to why Picard has to come on the ship. Second episode, why we've got to do this season. Now I'm assuming the rest of the season is let's do it.
Yeah,
So
most shows tell this story like the midway point. Like, how did we get here and why are we here? They did it in the second episode, which is something that I really found fascinating watching it. I'm like, they just laid out their plan. No, not the plan. They just laid out why. So they already told the why. So now they have the rest of this season, if it's 10 episodes, which I think that it is. So they have 8 more episodes to figure it out. I only worry, only worry that we're going to have a little too much Star Trek 1985 on our hands.
Well,
Because if they go
the
back,
reason I say that is because, and like I think I said this, at the beginning, or like last week, talking about episode 1, is like it's a callback to what was it, Farpoint?
Mhm.
Because that's basically where Q, in essence, puts all of humanity on trial. And to me, it seems like he's not really doing that, but in some iteration, he
doing it
is.
a different way. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like, I really have like a flashback to that because, Greg, I'll have to send you the episodes. I think it was like 2-parter, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You'll have to watch
believe-
that. You have to watch that because then it'll make sense to kind of give you a little background on that'll really give you a good background on Q to see how he and Picard interact, because you're talking about somebody that it's like they hate each other, but yet it's like they just feed off of each other. It's crazy.
Mhm.
What's ridiculous is that they brought Q back, and Q has only done, thanks to this episode, one thing.
Mm-hmm.
He only has done one thing, whereas in the Next Generation, he just screwed with Picard nonstop.
Mhm.
It
And
was
he also, in Voyager, he also messed with Janeway too.
yes, because it did bring him back there.
Yes.
And I think based on what I've seen from this episode, if I had to guess, they're going to end up having to work with Q for some reason. And the reason why they're working with the Borg Queen, it's almost like a complete different story than you've ever been told. They've got, well, from what I know, I don't know all the stories, that they've got to work with their enemies here to fix this problem. And I do like how in this one, like, we know what we got to do. We know the when and the where. Now we just got to figure out the what and get there and change it. And I like that.
Exactly.
I have
And that's
objectives
how that
we know what we gotta
works.
do.
That's
Mhm.
how you work with Q, because you've got to figure out what is his intention. He always has a reason, even though it might be crazy. And you're like, dude, what is going on with you? But it's almost like you have to prove him wrong
Mhm.
in order to move forward or to get yourself out of that situation. And that's what they're going to do. They've got to go back and figure out, what's the deal. And I mean,
He makes fire. Fire takes 3 things to create. You normally figure out the first 2 fairly simply, but that third one is difficult. And Q he's always hiding that third one somewhere. So it's interesting that, they took this show a completely different direction with the whole entire, like, they mentioned it in the show about it being like a xenophobic society that just went like nuts. And it's always true that if you have a group of people who hate each other, if you give them a common enemy, they will band together to hate that enemy. And so what they have done is said, Earthlings who used to hate each other now hate all the species that exist outside of Earth.
Mhm.
And so now we're not racist or homophobic or anything else. We are anything non-earthophobic.
Right.
And
They
they have
consider
turned
humanity
non-human.
humans.
It's
Yeah.
like it's all human. It's like humanity. That's like the greatest, it's like the supreme, I'm like, oh, really? Like, really? Okay.
the fact that they just killed the last remaining species on what do they call it? What's the day?
Oh, no.
Eradication Day.
Eradication Day, yeah.
So when they just literally eradicate the rest of the species right then and there, that is so. It speaks to the world. It's all about power, and it's amazing how they're able to show it. They show the planet that we have killed, or we are keeping the corpse alive, as Q put it. They show how humans are basically only happy by keeping that power, and then they show what we do to other species through the Borg Queen. Half of a person, keeping her alive in a stasis mode way.
Well, it's hell for her
transport
anyways because she's not connected to the collective anymore. So in essence,
there's
she's living
nothing
her
left.
own hell. It's
Yeah.
like her own prison.
Mhm.
So it's cool that after all of that happened, the few of them still have their memory. They still find each other. To have Seven turn into Annika,
Yeah,
Princess,
Annika.
Yeah.
President Annika, um, to give them each a role, but then they give the Doctor the same role in just a different way.
Right.
All of it was funny. The Captain Rios is Colonel Rios. He's fighting. You got, instead of the Great Admiral, you have the, I can't remember what they were about to call him. The
General.
Great, yeah, he's a general, but they're going to the war
Well,
whatever.
what? Oh, I know. And then just to see about the persona that apparently Picard had in this world. You walk in. Q showing him. These are your trophies, and I'm like, my jaw dropped at all those like those skulls because you
Very
could pick
Genghis
out.
Khan. Yeah.
Well, you could pick out the different species. I'm just like, holy shit, that's just, oh my God, that's crazy. And it's just so opposite of what Picard stood for, because you had this great speech in episode 1, of like, oh, just, be your best, this, that, and other. And then, Q flips the script and it's like, okay, well, this is what it could be, in this,
Mhm.
By
I'm
changing
like,
one thing. I want to know what this one thing is.
That's gonna
because
be what.
it's got to be fantastic.
Well, what's funny is how great of an actor Patrick Stewart is, that he can go from that moment where he's playing this Picard as Picard is, to the moments where he has to act like Picard the Conqueror.
yeah.
And he does such a great job doing it. And snaps right into character, and it's just so great. I loved it. Let's see. Panther Pickle asks, "Is Q sick or unhealthy?" I don't know enough about him to know, but Picard did mention in the episode that he seemed like something was wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I say that I think it's going to be a matter of that this happened because Q had to, not because he wanted to. But
She
I
made
don't
it
know
such
enough about it.
point to stay out of Picard's life for so long,
Mm-hmm.
to only which the concept of time for Q is irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
But to turn around and say all I had to do was look for the closest explosion and there you were. I don't know if it sure seems like he is, maybe it's a last ditch effort, maybe something's happening to whatever metaphorical body or life that he has. So I mean it is possible that they're going to drive this whole thing to be something else much bigger is happening elsewhere to bring into this episode, because there,
Well, it's not.
there can't just be one bad. So
Right.
Well,
yeah,
that's the thing about Q. He always gets himself into situations, just like he was, with the Q continuum. It's like you met other Qs, like within, like, the different series or whatnot. And then the one time that he was human, man, that was hilarious. It was like, oh, what? Why is this not working? Because he always snaps in and out and all that kind of stuff. So with Q, there's no telling. I'm really curious to see what the issue is going to be, because it could be anything, because that Q continuum, they'll throw him out every now and again. I mean, he could be on the it could be on the cusp of getting thrown out again. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, like I said, we know the where and the when now. We just don't know the why or the how, and that's what we got to figure out. That's the crux of this series: is the why and the how. I think the why is more important. That's the main story. They'll
It's just
figure
like
out the
they're talking
how
about-
and probably not even know the why yet.
Then they said they had one person. That's like they had one person they had to find. That's what they were looking
One
for.
contact.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, I know who I want it to be. I know who I want it to be, but it probably I doubt it. But I know who I want it to be. I want it to be Wesley Crusher so bad.
In 2022 or
Well,
2024?
because when Wesley leaves, he becomes a a traveler.
Bored. I was gonna say, wasn't he bored at one point?
He was a traveler.
No, that's fan art.
Oh yeah, because Wesley, he like
Yeah, he's a wanderer.
Yeah, he became a traveler because he like
Mhm.
whatever, and I'm thinking maybe that's him, because I'm like that would be like really cool, but also
I find him annoying though. I as much as I do appreciate him championing on the series, I do kind of find like his Hollywood persona to be a little annoying.
But another thing that I thought that was like really cool, and I even said this to Brian, I said if they call because when you have Picard and Borg, I mean, obviously the name Locutus is going to drop in your head. I told Brian, I said, if she calls him Locutus, I'm just, and I'll be damned. And she did. She's like, Locutus. She's like, I said, oh shit, there you go. Oh, there you go. There you go.
The fact that she recognized that he was a synth, though, was like, you're Locutus, but you're not.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That was really cool. I mean, I'm like, just, oh my God. It's just, like I told you guys, I'm like, I can't even articulate my thoughts on this. It just blew my mind. So I just can't even wait to see what the rest of the season is going to entail.
Do either of y'all know the difference between a federation and a confederation? I meant to look it up before I got on here. I don't know the difference.
But normally it's just what we know as a group of people is the connotations that go with it.
Yeah.
Okay. I just didn't know that had anything to do with it because I remember she did say federation. He was like, federation. Oh, confederation. I mean, so there was one other point I wanted to bring up. Oh, yeah. So Q brings up forgiveness and how he doesn't think that he's ever going to be able to get forgiveness. Do y'all have any idea what he's talking about there? Or is that what we're trying to figure out? What he needs forgiveness for? That maybe that's the event that changed in 2024. But then why would Q even? That's something that Q created. Like, I don't know, man. It's getting into time travel. It's starting to get weird for me. Like chicken or egg. Thinking about it, yeah, and I start to. Okay, I know what I wanted to say. Okay, huge Star Wars fan. Not as big of a Star Trek fan, but I'm liking what I see in Star Trek. It's not that I don't like Star Trek; it's never given it a chance. But I'm loving everything I see so far. One thing I can say: ships, blasters, and sound of weapons is way better in Star Trek than it is in Star Wars. But Star Wars has lightsabers, which is cooler than any Star Trek weapon ever. So that's where it's got it. But I was looking at it and I was like, man, those are some pretty badass looking blasters. Man, that's a pretty awesome sound. Like, I like that better and they actually hit their targets. Like, holy shit. Like, that is one thing I think Star Trek. Oh, and the HUD, the heads up display that I guess Colonel in this one had, where it's basically.
So you got to watch season 1.
Oh,
because
man,
that's real big in season 1.
That is so cool. I'm like, that is the way things need to be right there.
And then steering the ship like with his hand.
Everywhere you look, it looks in front of you.
Oh,
yeah. Like, that was so awesome. Like, it's basically like a double monitor in front of you, and wherever you look, it's.
Can't wait for you getting this season of Discovery because that's going to blow your damn minds.
Okay.
What they are able to do with Star Trek right now is amazing because all of the tech, not tech, but all of the ideas and premises that were designed around, and I say this because this is where we really saw it first in Iron Man, all of that was really able to be thrown into the world.
Mm-hmm.
And now Star Trek has had the biggest use of it because they're capable of using it.
Right.
Star Wars, it would change all sorts of stuff if they used it. Star Trek is perfectly poised to use all of that stuff.
You have all this individual technology that's catered to you. I mean, it's like you have all this personalized, even like beaming technology, or just your personal. You're going a hell of a long way from just the pads that you used to carry, or even tricorders. I mean, that's not even don't have to worry about that anymore.
Who needs tricorders?
Like
we just.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, okay, just it's
now it exists.
That is one thing that I've noticed with the Star Trek I've been watching that I'd like better than Star Wars is the technology advances, man. In Star Wars, you go back to stories 5,000 years ago, and they're still using lightsabers and blasters, and it's like, well, shit, when did they come up with this stuff? And more importantly, why has it never changed? Like, what in the history of, well, I guess we only know the history of our world. Have you used the same weapons 5,000 years later? It just doesn't make any sense to me. But once again, if your weapon's a lightsaber, I might want to use that in 5,000 years. It's still
Star Trek was more kind of like a utopia type, deal. It's like, you evolved away from, like a monetary system, more, it was just, that's not the way I can just describe it. It's like a utopia in,
it's
some
more fluid now.
Aspect.
They're much with each iteration of Star Trek, it's so fluid because it can adapt to what we have in our ability to shoot anything,
Mhm.
not to shoot a movie, to shoot a TV show. We have these options, and Star Trek is always able to adapt with them. Star Wars, it changes all sorts of stuff. Look, no one is saying right now that even though all of the Kirk stuff happened forever ago, why can't we advance technology now in Star Trek? But even then, JJ makes the Star Trek movies and changes a decent a bit of like the
Uh-huh.
technology to adapt it to our current time. So it's a whole lot different than the 60s TV show.
Mhm.
But people are much more able to accept it in Star Trek than they ever will be for Star Wars.
Uh-huh.
Right.
I
Get that.
remember when episode 1 came out, and the fact that the Star Wars lightsabers looked so different, people hated it. Well, hated it or loved it. But the like when we did the Star Wargy, the big thing for me when it came to lightsabers was simplicity. And I loved Qui-Gon's lightsaber. I always loved the simplicity of it because I'm like, I'm going to use one of these damn things. I want to be able to wrap my hand around it and like
Mhm.
wield it without cutting or like having to like super grip or anything else.
Mhm.
None of the other ones made sense to me.
That's the problem I have with the Revan one, because if you got too many little,
Yeah.
you just can't hold on to it.
So with Star Trek, we're able to just adapt with the times and people are completely cool with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
all the
you're-
technology makes sense. Yeah.
Because you accept that evolution.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You accept that. You realize, it's not in, even with the, God, I don't even know what the time
It's
is.
not an
but-
arms race. Like it's
No.
never an arms race. It's always like, what can we do to make things better for everybody?
Mhm.
And
And I
even
thi-
in Discovery, they do such a good job. Minus the nacelles that detach from the plane or from the spacecraft, they do such a good job describing other methods that they had to adapt to after the burn is what they called it.
Yeah.
How do they travel space without the fuel that they need to actually go into warp?
Yeah, without dilithium. Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
a different. Well, case in point, even when you go back to Enterprise, with Captain Archer and all that, I mean, you're going backwards, but you still accept that, even though you feel like it's primitive, because, okay, this is where it started from. You know what I mean? Because, you have tricourse. I mean, they weren't even, beaming. I mean, they were still using shuttlecraft to go from the ship down to the planet's surface. So you're just like, oh, that's kind of crazy.
And Discovery did a fantastic job of taking what we know about transporters to individual transportation.
Yeah, you don't even
when
have
they
to
made
use the
that
turbolift.
they made that enormous time jump.
Uh-huh.
I swore that it was 900 years, but I keep hearing that it's 700 years lately. When they made that time jump, technology still evolved.
Right.
And then
The world's going on. Yeah.
when they moved 900 years in the future, they were like, "Hey, we have this now." And like, you're just meant to accept it. It's real. Like, it is a 30-second line in passing, and then boom, now it's just a
So here,
thing in
use
the
this.
TV show.
Mhm. Well, I think the thing, honestly, that's so appealing about Star Trek, other than its great story writing, great storytelling, it's more of a realistic look into, hey, quite honestly, 100 years from now, or maybe not even that long, this could be what the world's like. We could be traveling into space and having that's possible. Star Wars is a fantasy. You'll never ever see that. You'll probably never see Star Trek, or we won't in our life either. But that's more of a realistic goal of what us as humans would work towards,
Well,
is
case in
uniting
point.
as a planet and exploring the galaxy.
I mean, case in point, it's like when you're watching, Next Generation, and you have all, you're looking at all this, their pads and stuff, and then you have something like this, and you're like, what's this no different?
Yep.
You're like, I'm using that shit now. I mean, that's what's so crazy about it. It's like, for Star Trek, for me, a lot of it is more realistic. I mean, it's like an evolution that we'll eventually get to.
Closer than you think.
I
know.
love The Expanse. I love that show. And fingers crossed it's not dead, or they're going to still create more content for it. And if you haven't watched it, I hope that you watch it, because I feel like it's one of the most real depictions of what we could get to in the next 500,000 years. I mean, maybe sooner than that, but
I can't wait.
they use like plexiglass pieces for phones, like everyone has their own individual like piece of like plexiglass that they use that actually it does everything. It puts up holograms. It does all sorts of stuff. It carries all of your information. It's like your cell phone. It doesn't require batteries or any of that crap. Dude's
Mhm.
got a cracked one the whole entire show. It's cracked, like someone's phone would be cracked.
Yeah.
And like it's truly like, I love the different depictions that they use in technology and all these things. And Star Trek has always been a leading force in that. And part of why I've always loved it, because I love technology. I love the concept of human betterment. If we could get to that faster, that would be awesome. But it's cool seeing it. And Star Trek has always done a really good job, especially now. Now they have so many tools at their disposal. It's fantastic.
Look, Panther Pickle says Star Trek communicators led to cell phones. Yeah,
Mhm.
the concept.
Everyone,
Yeah, I can see it.
everyone had their idea. Fuck Dick Tracy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's true.
I can walkie-talkie anyone. I mean, I don't want to see their face right now, but
Hey, I'm not gonna lie, man. That was one of the coolest phones we ever had. You remember we used to have those Nextels and we could walkie-talkie each other instead of just texting before texting?
oh yeah.
My daughter
I
was
used to
talking to me
hate
the
it.
other day. She was like, "You're so fast at texting." I'm like, "That's because I came from the time when you had 9 buttons, and if you
You
wanted
had
to
to,
type R, you had to type 9 4
you had to
times
use
to
it
get
to
the
keep it.
R."
Yeah, you
That's
knew remember
right.
keypad.
Yeah.
And then
1, 2, 3,
T9
4,
came
1,
out, and
2.
we were all
That's
champions.
right. We thought we were the shit, and then they had keyboards, and we were like, "Well, shit." So,
And this is where we date ourselves, ladies and
that's
gentlemen.
right.
Oh, I still had the actual landlines.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
yeah, I had landlines. Oh yeah,
corded
corded phone.
phones.
I remember the
Your
corded phone in
your
my
phones
kitchen.
used
You
to
had to
have
stay in the kitchen
cords.
and talk on the phone.
Yeah,
Yep.
you had to like reach around the
Yeah.
corner so you could like get privacy,
Mhm.
and then fight the dial up.
Y'all remember whenever somebody would pick up the phone when you were on the internet and it would cut you off?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that. Times.
Or your parents pick it up. It's like they pick up the phone. It's like get off the phone. Get off the phone.
Anybody could pick up the phone and listen to your conversation. If you didn't hear them pick it up, they could just be listening. You wouldn't even know. Yep, I remember that.
Just real quietly.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, it's I'm just so excited to be like. There's so much good Star Trek stuff
They
right
did.
now.
And not only, I'm sorry. Back in 2008, Nokia designed a mobile phone built to externally resemble the Star Trek communicator from the first TV series. Nokia built 14 prototypes, which were based on the N76 clamshell flip phone, which I do remember because when all that stuff was coming out, I was following it because I was trying to get all of that stuff for my dad.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I'm cool with if the future is Star Trek. I don't think I'll ever get there in my life. Like my goal is to one day visit space. I don't think it's in my lifetime. I think it's maybe my kid's lifetime that something like that is more practical for the general audience, the average person.
Watch
But
Foundation.
but technology advances so quickly, it could be 10, 15 years away, and maybe it is possible. So we'll see. Yeah, I mean, you never ever know.
I'm down with the transporter technology because I'm like scramble
I
me,
need that to
put me
get
back
through the
together.
first.
I don't care.
I need that to get to the first few generations before I hop into a scramble or whatever that thing is. Yeah, before I get scrambled. So
You do what Simon Pegg Scotty said. All I did was make one admiral's whatever dog or cat disappear, and
That was
all of a sudden-
Porthos.
Yep,
That was
yep.
Captain Archer. That was Porthos. No.
Oh. Well, you got anything else you want to talk about, Picard? It's shaping up to be a pretty good season. We are now, I like it that we would have 6 episodes left, and now we are ready to go. We have the objective. We're getting into a plan. We know exactly what this crew's got to do. Now I just want to find out what it is, and I want to see it
Yeah,
happen.
I'm just curious to see what
I'm
they're doing
really
like
excited.
the time, like the time travel aspect of it, because I mean they've done it in the past. I mean they've done it in the past, going back and trying to fix stuff and that kind of. So that'll be interesting.
Panther Pickle asked if I would step into a Stargate.
Absolutely.
I would, but I would probably be like the guy in the first movie, where you
Stick
put
your
your
face
face
in
in
there.
it. Yeah, and it looks like you're underwater. I would do that first. But yeah, I probably would. I don't know. I guess it feels different for me being transported than going through a Stargate. But then again, I don't know what a Stargate would entail. So yeah.
Stargate's kind of like a wormhole.
We assume. I don't know. I've never seen a real one.
Yeah, that's true.
Like and even if I did, I wouldn't know exactly what it was going through there. But yeah, it seems like it'd be a pretty cool ride.
I am seeing there's supposed to be 10 episodes, so we have 8
10
more
episodes.
episodes.
Okay. Fantastic. All right, cool.
That's
Well,
really
we
cool.
will be covering them all as long as as well as new stuff coming out over the next few weeks. I don't really know what next week's show is going to tell. I know we're going to talk about Picard. And then I'm sure there's going to be more stuff that pops up. There's going to be a show we're going to watch. Maybe we'll do a retro on a movie, news.
What about Discovery? That's all I want to talk about real fast.
Do
What
it.
do you think about Discovery, Sarah?
Dude. Okay.
Where you
All
at?
right.
Where you at with it?
Oh, I'm up to date. I mean, because like I said, I watched both of them tonight. But wow, that Species 10C, that's some craziness. That you're going back to like the old school, like first contact shit, and that is so cool. Them trying to figure this out, and the technology is like so advanced and beyond. It's really blowing my mind that they're figuring this out at how to actually communicate. Of course, you know,
Like
you got to
real
throw
time?
some. Then you got to throw some shit in there, you know, with Tarka and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, "God, this dude, man, it's like, stop, just stop it, stop." But then you have Reno in there, man. I love her. God knows I love her. I mean, every episode you see her in, I'm like, you're just freaking awesome. You're just bringing it, man. You're just like totally bringing it. But I mean, it's the last. I mean, it's like the last 2 or 3 episodes. It's like they leave you on these cliffhangers, like, what's happening? I hate it's week to week.
I'm telling you, since they've been back from the break, it's been really good because I felt like the first part of the season was trying to tell a story that they just couldn't get around to. They
Yeah.
came back from the break and they started to really get around to that story, which was fantastic. I felt that the break was absolutely a humongous hindrance in this whole entire thing. But I find it really cool. Like I got major Close Encounter vibes when they were trying to
Yes.
figure out all this. You know, like I'm hearing piano sounds in my head, and as they're doing it, I'm like, no, it all makes sense. Like I mean, like
Well, they did equate it to music too. It's the way of trying to figure
yeah,
it out. So,
we're not as far advanced as they
mm,
should be. So like when they were being able to do it so fast, everything that they were discussing made logical sense, like still applicable to our world right now. And I found that really cool. I mean, yes, I do hate the fact that it's 2 steps forward, 3 steps back once we introduce a weapon, even though like it was um, I can never remember the actor's name who plays him, but him being such an oddball villain character in this show,
mhm.
it's amazing how they show empathy for him early on before they do it later on,
Mhm.
and we don't get that normally. Like we normally have to like go through the bad character's arc before we get to the reason why he's bad, and they really show us early on like why he's bad and what he's doing, and then you get to a point where you're like, well, fuck this dude, just why isn't someone shooting him? Why
Absolutely. I'm
not?
like, yeah, because like with when you figure at one point Book is going to be like, dude, he's finally had enough. But then Target, he just keeps going and going and going and going, and you're like, dude, enough's
And
enough. Enough's enough.
he's also a bad character in The Expanse.
Hmm.
That actor plays a bad character in The Expanse. So when he showed up in this show, and I was like, he's going to be a bad
And
character.
what's so interesting is isn't Tarka from Risa, and Risa's supposed to be like one of those worlds where it's all about it's like the pleasure planet. That's the one where everybody goes to vacation because that's where Riker
Yeah, they
and
do have like they all have like different, yeah.
yeah, because like from Next Generation, everybody always wanted to go to shore leave on Risa because that was like
Mhm.
that was the planet because it was like gorgeous beaches and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like,
It's like going
dude,
to
you're like
LA.
from a planet that's like so chill. You're supposed to be chill, and here you are. You're just like causing all this chaos. But I mean, he has a self. You hate to say a selfish reason, but in the grand scheme of things, it is a selfish reason why he wants to do what he does or what his plan is. And it's like the hell with everybody else because I have this one goal, and I don't care about anybody else. Whereas Book, his whole reasoning is okay. Dude had like this catastrophic event happen, and he doesn't want it to happen to anybody else. So that's his main goal. And then you think Tarka has like the same ideology, but then you find out, no, he's just a selfish asshole.
And that's what I think is very fantastic. The dynamic between two people have kind of gone through the same thing, but one is much further along than the other one is. And so it
Yes.
shows healing. It shows, once again, empathy. It shows, it's just so crazy seeing the two of them work together towards the same goal because they both lived partly the same experience, but
They have different reasons.
different reasons. Yeah. So I find where they're at very interesting. What did you think about the Booker name when they were unveiling
That
that?
was interesting too. That was interesting because it's like, you just
Greg, imagine that Han Solo was a name that wasn't anyone's. But in order to be a great smuggler, the name Han Solo was known all across the galaxy.
mhm.
So is one person got old and retired and was like, I'm done with this. I don't want to live this life anymore. They bequeathed that name onto someone else who was like their apprentice. And like now that person became Han Solo.
Hmm.
So they use this character's name and the reputation as they call them couriers. They're essentially smugglers to do the same type of thing. And that name keeps getting passed on from person to person, whoever they train to be the next person in line.
Kind of like Dread Pirate Roberts from Princess Bride.
Or like
Yeah,
the Daimyo kind of Boba Fett. It's the title.
Yeah,
you
kind
take.
of. Well, no, you're taking
No.
a name. It's not a position. It's actually
It's like
just
someone
your
gives you their
name.
black book. It's like, here's my black book of all of my information.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
here's, now you will henceforth be known as Cleveland Booker is what this guy's name is. So it's
Almost
real.
like taking a Darth name, kind of. Somewhat. I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
I'm looking
no,
for
yeah.
comparisons, but they're not working out great. Panther Pickle says Robert Picardo got back in character as the Doctor for Star Trek, The Cruise 4. He said he's in the he was approached about returning for the role again for the second season of Star Trek
Oh my
Picard.
God, I would die. I would die. I would die.
I mean, it sounds like they're
Because-
bringing a lot back for Picard.
Well, because the
Yeah.
fact that if they brought the Doctor back in, I can't imagine his evolution. Because I'm trying to think, I'm not quite sure how many years, since the Voyager had came back. But I mean, it's in this timeline, or it's in, in this. So I mean, yeah, there's because 7 and 9, the Doctor helped her reclaim her humanity, and then within him doing all this, he became, Panther Pickle. That is a possibility. I mean, he could be the guy in LA. Who knows? I mean,
Yeah.
but his evolution. I mean, he would probably evolve to the point where he would still have his hollow emitter, so he could, roam around, but he would still be an individual. And that was like one of the main themes within Voyager, everyone, being an individual. That was 7 of 9's deal, for her to come out of the Borg collective and to regain her individuality and that kind of thing. And that's why with the Borg Queen, why it's more of her held in, not only just in, that encapsulated area, but the fact that she was cut off from the collective, because that's like the worst thing you could do to a Borg, because that's like total opposite of what they are.
Right.
But that would be cool to have the Doctor back.
So let
I'm
me
going to
ask
leave
you.
it here. I'm interested in both of these shows, and I can't wait.
Amen,
That was
brother.
my next
Amen.
point. Between these two shows, which one are y'all liking better?
They
I mean,
both have. I don't really have a favorite, honestly.
Okay. Both really, really good.
Discovery is telling a fantastic story. Now that they finally got back to it and are back on track, Picard has the roots and the nostalgia. And Picard, we are just now jumping into the second season. I'm gonna tell you, my problem with Paramount is that they're telling too many stories at one time. I think that it's fantastic to have multiple Star Trek stories.
Right.
My problem turns into the same thing that I discussed when we were talking about Kenobi. I don't want too much to muddle the other. And if we get too far along in one, it blocks what another one could do, or it kind of pulls away from what, like we were talking about, like Ahsoka, like it pulls away from like the Ahsoka, because I need to know what they're talking about now. They already introduced that version of Ahsoka. I need to know what's going on with that Ahsoka. Here,
kind of what they did with Boba Fett and Mando, to be honest with you. They made
I'm opposite. I'm opposite. because I take them as, the points in time they are. Because like for me, Picard is just a continuation of that particular time. It's like, these characters and you're seeing how they're living. But with Discovery, you've jumped so far ahead. To me, it's almost like it's like it's unto itself.
Yeah,
I mean, I think it's
you
so
tell the
far
stories at the same
ahead.
time.
But I mean, I can take it. I mean, I can handle it. I can juggle both. I'm good.
We juggle so much fandom on this show, like we talk about so
Sure.
many different things, and like when all that's going on at one time, I like, I mean, I'm a completionist,
Mhm.
so like I want to know what's going on with that story. Tell me that story, and then let's connect it to the next thing. So that's where I fall in
Do
the
you know
gray
how long
area.
I've waited for any kind of Star Trek period? If you're
I'm
going to give
fine
me
with
all
Star
at one
Trek.
time, I will take it.
No,
There.
give it to
Panther
me
Pickle.
nonstop, in like beginning to end, and like or anywhere in between. Just give it to me 52 weeks a year, and I will be on board with it.
But then it's like I
Pan-
take my Star Trek and then I'll kind of like weave in the Star Wars with it too. So at
There you
least
go.
it's that kind of thing. And with a
Uh,
little DC, mixed in as well.
Panther Pickle says Sanctuary Districts and Deep Space Nine was in LA in 2024. That's you're talking Greek to me. I don't know what that
Holy
means.
shit! No, he's right. Yeah.
Mm.
So, do you think we
Oh
just
man,
figured that
I don't know
out?
what season it is.
Well,
No,
I mean, Deep Space
no,
Nine was there because at the beginning of Deep Space Nine, it was basically Picard handed it over, or was there to give Cisco
Yeah.
his commission.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's in the
Dang.
same world. So
That whole thing with Cisco and like them being next to a wormhole and him being part of the species, or was it him that was part of?
the
No, it was
prophets.
Quark. Quark was part of the species, I think. No, not Quark.
Cisco ended up being like a part of the prophets.
Yeah, was it him? Okay, so it was him.
Hmm. Yeah, he was like one of like the emissary.
Was
Yeah.
this pre or post Thong Song? But sorry.
Yeah.
Let's see. Panther Pickle says Cisco went back in time. Yeah,
That's what I'm remembering right now. Yeah,
went back in time.
it's been so
Assuming
long.
what he's saying. Yeah.
I remember watching Deep Space Nine when it was on, and I don't think I've watched it since.
There was actually an
Never have.
episode where I want to say it was Cisco and Dax went back to like the original series that time because they were like they were actually on the Enterprise, and I remember them wearing the uniforms, and then it was supposed to be Kirk that they saw, and they're just like, oh my god, that's Captain Kirk, that kind of shit. So I mean, they've
They're
kind of
just
gone
Bill
back.
and Teding it through the fucking
Yeah,
timeline.
exactly.
There you go.
So I mean, the whole going back, like going back in time. I mean, that's nothing new in Star Trek.
Well,
And now with Discovery, they go forward. So it's like, okay, well, that's the only time they've ever really gone forward. But then they've had like the mirror universes too. So it's for me seeing this with Picard. That's the thing. It's like through the mirror darkly, that kind of thing. I was like, oh, we're gonna do this again. Okay.
So with Star Trek, I have to deal with if I ever catch up, I've got to deal with past, present, future, and mirror universes. Is what you're saying?
Pretty
Yep.
much. Uh-huh.
Cool. I can do that.
Elseworlds, all that kind of good shit. So I mean,
So typical franchise.
Yeah.
I think honestly, that's one thing that's kind of funny about Star Wars is you never hear anything about time travel in Star Wars. They do not deal with time travel. They don't even open that can up. Forget time travel. We're not doing it. And I
Here's
hope
what
they
you
never
do.
do. I hope
You
they
take
never do.
3 to 5 tequila shots. You wait about 30 minutes, and then you can just put on Star Trek and go from there.
Yeah.
Sounds like a
At
plan.
some point, you're just going to be like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to take my shirt off because shit's getting real.
The pants are already off. Might as well lose the shirt, right? Oh, all right. Well,
With that said,
yeah. I want to take my pants off now. Goodness gracious. But is there anything else y'all want to talk about with Discovery?
No, Star Trek is doing the Star Trek thing.
Yeah, it's full speed ahead.
They're
I mean,
coming
it's
strong.
warp speed. I mean, I'm just loving it.
I got to get more into Star Trek. I definitely will, but I'm currently learning everything I can about Star Wars. So in 2 years, when I finish that, then I can start learning everything about Star Wars. That's about the pace I'm on for learning Star Wars. It takes me about a week to finish a book. I've already finished like 9 or 10 books. There's only 77 more books to go, and I'm good to go. So, but no, I definitely want to get into more Star Trek. It's awesome stuff. Like I said, there's some things that I see in Star Trek that are cooler than Star Wars. Like I like this better. So, and once again, the new movies, the Kelvin Timeline movies, I absolutely effing love those movies. So that's my Star Trek right there. But that's my jumping off point. So
But that's what I love. I mean, I love Star Trek, and now I love Star Wars too. So I mean, it's like the more you learn about each, I mean, it's just they each have their own.
Set of rules.
Well, it's not that. There's just certain elements that you just dig. It just works for those worlds
I
that
meant
have
that
been
in a much bigger
created.
way, but yeah.
I mean, I'll take more Obi Wan. I'll take more Ahsoka. I mean, give me more Discovery. Give me more about Picard. I mean, please, like with Picard, bring in, because last season they brought in some next generation characters. This season, hell, bringing in some more Voyager, bringing some more DS9. I don't give a shit. Just Picard is all about like the fan service. It's like what happened. How has lives moved forward from what you remember from the series. Discovery is just jump forward and it's like we're just going to go full speed ahead and do our own damn thing. That's what I like about it because to me, it's going back to the roots of what the Federation was all about, especially now because you didn't really see a whole lot of first contact. You already had, the with the species, you already had this Federation, which is just conglomeration of unification of planets, of all these different planets, and now you're going to Discovery and you're basically starting over. And to me, that's what's really cool about Discovery because it's some crazy shit. It's just some crazy shit.
So let me ask you, Sarah. One of them has to go. Star Trek or Star Wars? You don't remember it. Like tomorrow, it's gone, and you never remember anything of it again. Which one are you losing?
Greg, I thought you loved me. Why are you going to ask me some shit like that?
It's
I'm gonna do what my son says.
like
He's like, I
asking you to
can't
pick your favorite
choose.
child. Yeah, it's like
I
asking
can't
you to pick your favorite
choose. I
child,
can't
right?
choose. I mean, I can't choose.
I
I
get
mean,
that.
because like I said, each one has its own elements that I just absolutely love. And I mean, it's I can't choose. I can't. No, don't do that to me. No.
Panther Pickle says, "Forget Star Wars." He sounds like a big Star Trek fan, which nothing wrong with that. Like I said, everything I've seen from Star Trek so far has been great. So I just something I never got into when I was younger, but I want to get into more now. So, all right, well, y'all, getting late. We've wrapped it all up. Y'all want to go ahead and roll through these closing credits and get on out of here?
Let's do
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
Cool deal.
Absolutely.
I'm going to include everything from Laurie's comic, all her content, to be able to contact her or Kickstarter or anywhere you can find any information in the show notes. So be sure to check that out. I will also include everything else. Sarah, where can they find you at?
You can find me on the Twitter at My Lady Kitten. Yeah, I've been just hit me up if you have any questions. Any Star Trek or anything along those lines. I mean, feel free. I'm obviously always open to chat. Any form or fashion. So that's where you can find me.
Ross, where can they find you at, buddy?
For the video people, I'm only right here.
There you go. So if you want to get a hold of Ross, that is your reason to come here every Friday night to get a hold of him and talk to him about this kind of stuff. He has some great
Tell me
opinions.
how wrong
Ross
I
is
am.
good people. He's good
Right.
people. So
He just doesn't get involved in the social media, and quite honestly, I wouldn't either if I didn't have to promote this show. That's the only reason I even have Twitter. So, but if you do want to get a hold of me, you can find me at the Bat Daddy 52 on Twitter, at SCS Podcast 1 on Twitter is the show handle. I used to try to check both of them. My DMs are not working on my personal handle, so I'm checking those like every night when I get home. But if you want to hit me up, hit me up. Show we're here every Friday night, live 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, unless something happens and we have to reschedule the show. But generally, it's every Friday. Audio drops every Monday on your podcatcher of choice. I think everybody who was part of the show tonight came and checked us out. Tell a friend, give us a review, give us a like, give us a thumbs up, all that good stuff. We hope to see you next week. And until then, keep bouncing.
bye.
Later.